Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of By the Numbers. I'm your host, Richard Lewis. My co-host is Duncan Thorin Shields. Sam is pressing the button. I've just realised I'm a massive head. I look like the fucking thing out of Prometheus. Not a problem, Sam. I like that shot. The reason for me looking like the giant head out of Prometheus is that I'm in a hotel room. I'm in Boston for a little thing called The Major. And basically, I've just got back from a production meeting. I've got another meeting coming up soon. Thought it would be a good time to squeeze the show in between. Obviously, Duncan's got lots of stuff he wants to talk about with The Major. So anyway, we're going to try and wrap up as much as we can in as short a space as we can. And I apologize for any glitches or sound issues or anything that may occur, hotel internet, etc. Anyway, why don't we start just overall by talking about this mad fucking Facebook thing? Because I did a video on it. I expected you to do a video on it.
I would have done, but I was just really ill.
Good.
And here's how you know I'm actually really ill, because normally I would just do a video anyway, but like it was so bad that I even purposely didn't do videos on the basis that I thought, the less stressed, maybe I will recover from this cold faster. But I was just fucking going under me. It was taking me to the depths. Well, to fight my way back.
There's been a massive flu epidemic going around America, actually, and I know prior to that I've seen a ton of people had the pneumonia that I had. It's been crazy. But look, I'm glad you didn't do a video in a way, because we've subsequently seen more and more hysteria coming out.
It's madness, isn't it?
Yeah. Look, and here's the thing. I just would like to hear. There's only okay. In the original announcement that ESL made, right, they said that we understand. I've got it in front of me.
Okay.
I'm gonna open it and read it. Basically, the implication was that they understood that Facebook was, from a technical perspective, an inferior platform because currently it is 720p 30 FPS. Now, don't get me wrong. I find it interesting that a lot of the people complaining are going, well, it's not 1080 60 FPS. And you're like, okay, but I want to watch it on my phone.
Can't handle that, but okay.
Irrelevant, of course. Fine. Ignore that. Right? But it says here in the original press release. So, first of all, as well, a lot of the people complaining are going, I left Facebook. I quit the Facebook platform and I cannot watch this stream.
There you go. I know where you're going on this one.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, you obviously haven't tried to watch this stream.
No, they haven't tried to watch stream, or B, even read any of the information on it. Like, factually, they don't even have the basic facts.
I have corrected
it without a Facebook account.
Yeah, this isn't an exaggeration. I think I've probably corrected about 50 to 80 people in the past 3 days.
And by the way, this is how bad the hysteria has gotten, where it's somehow this is one of the first truly partisan issues I've ever seen, where people who consider themselves against it have to be 100% against everything to do with it. And, you know, if ESL came out and said, as part of our Facebook page, we will be acknowledging that the North Pole is at the top of the planet, people will be like, fuck this, it's not. And just be like, brilliant, you know.
And so to be clear, and I'll repeat it on this podcast in case you missed my video, because I noticed my video got downvoted and thumbs down for trying to give an alternative and more balanced perspective. I got called a member of the Old Boys Club, which, listen, the Old Boys Club is still there, by the way. I'm definitely not in it. But here's what I will do. I will always try and find balance and nuance in a particular issue. Fucking, you know, crazy rich, I guess. But so to be clear, you do not need a Facebook account to watch the Facebook stream. You can watch an embedded stream as well as an alternative through the ESL website. And you don't even need to click on Facebook to watch the stream. Now, people have been saying, but Richard, the quality is terrible. Well, that's interesting. Because
separate issue, of course. But
completely separate issue. One of the things...
And by the way, just as a very quick aside, because we won't be coming back to this point, but the actual fact you don't even need an account, I actually find that kind of mad. If I was Facebook and I'm like, wait a second, I want exclusivity, I would actually be like, of course you have to have an account. I want to drive people to have accounts and watch on my site. So what's mad is it's even quite a big concession.
No, but it's the thing. Facebook are making a ton of concessions because they are trying to repurpose what they are. This is what people are not paying attention to. Facebook know the days of being a glorified calendar / stalk your ex machine are over. No one gives a fuck anymore about that. It is literally, hey, this person's single. It's this person's birthday. This person had this for lunch. It's not enough in the modern social media landscape, right? And Facebook know this. They've removed news now, like from companies putting news out there because of what happened during the election where there was supposedly Russian interference. There wasn't, but that's the narrative at the moment. And as a result, Facebook have had to bend the knee and say, we absolutely will make sure there is no Russian collusion in future. So they can't even be a news aggregator now. So what are they going to do? Well, I'll tell you what they're going to do. Facebook have spent a ton of money to try and get into the premium broadcasting streaming space. And if you think, well, why would Facebook do that? Twitter bought exclusive rights. Well, not exclusive rights, but they bought rights to be able to broadcast American football games through their platform. They've done it for other events and other sports events. And you're like, it's Twitter. Who would ever sit down and watch a football game on Twitter? Well, turns out many a person has, and Twitter are another social media company that, despite being essential and everyone has an account, hasn't been particularly well monetized. So they need to diversify their portfolio, and they are taking the money from the round of investment and the money that's being put into the company, and they are spending it on getting their streaming video up to speed and up to snuff. Now, as a result of this requirement for Facebook, if they want to survive as a company and an entity, this is how serious they are taking this streaming project of theirs. Off the basis of investing into ESL, they have and esports broadcasting in general, they have said, we want to have technological upgrades. And I will read you from the official press release from ESL now. It says, one of the key components that brought this project to fruition was the recent introduction of Facebook Watch. With it, Facebook has not only introduced a structured platform for video distribution, but also implemented technological upgrades that esports audiences have grown to expect, such as streaming in 1080p, 60 FPS, and virtual reality integration. Facebook will also make video content easily accessible for Facebook's 2 billion monthly active users, allowing much easier promotion of esports content to the millions of esports fans on the platform. Now, I am sorry if you cannot see the greater benefits of this for esports, but I don't know what to tell you. I have yet to hear a compelling argument about why ESL is scum and Facebook should be boycotted and people should do pirate streams, other than I don't like Facebook. Yes. That argument isn't good enough.
That's why, if you notice, the primary backlash against talent in the industry, put it this way, think about a topic like this. This is a classic example of a topic that would be great for my feature, Esports Salon. Guess what my problem is, Rich? Can't find a single fucker in the entire industry who wants to take the anti-broadcast rights position. Not a person exists who will do that. There's not even a person who's a young enough, naive enough caster who'd do it. And, you know, even then I'd probably have to tell him, I don't think I can let you do this, mate. You're going to fucking torpedo your own career when I put you in there with fucking legendary people from the industry who are going to tear you up with actual numbers. You're going to look like a fool. So I can't even find that guy who I'd have to warn off from it. There's not a person in the world, Rich. The only people are the people who, again, have not even essentially passed the sort of information gate of knowing the basic facts of the scenario. Like, the maddest fact about this is, here, like, this is what's great, okay? If you want to talk business, you've got to either A, know the space, or B, know the numbers involved in the business in question. Now, in this scenario, I don't claim to know all the numbers of the business in question. I know some aspects of the space. The people arguing against this position know neither. And so what's great is, here's the simplest way you can expose anyone who's against this position. Just start asking them questions along the lines of, like, do they think that, like, ESL and Facebook are making too much profit? Because as soon as they even say yes in any way, they're done. These companies don't make money. These companies are fucking hemorrhaging money. These companies are in massive trouble from doing live events, from offering these services. That's why, like, I know it doesn't make sense to people because they think, but we all use Facebook. Yes, I have never paid a cent to Facebook in my life. It doesn't matter how many times they sell my information to some fucking online company. They will never make back the money it costs to even provide me the services I have to give me in order to then sell my information. Actually, what's mad is all these companies, Twitter, Reddit, Facebook, all of them are literally in the same position of like, I have billions of users, but I can't get any money out of any of them. Fuck, how do I pivot before I inevitably die?
It's crazy. And I'm going to tell you some other shit, right? Like, so people are trying to imply that ESL are shortchanging the consumer.
Yes. The exact opposite, of course. But okay.
with this deal. Now, I don't know if people have took a look at MTG's books. MTG is the parent company that owns ESL, ESEA, and DreamHack. Now, they are publicly available. I have read them. I'm on my laptop right now. I'm Sam can probably find them with Google quicker than I can delving around. But these are publicly available. It's out there. Do you think the ESL side of the business is making a profit? They're not. They're not. In fact, for 3 quarters, I believe, they have operated at a loss. Okay? Now, why would you... And you'd be like, well, they're obviously not a very successful business then. Well, no, they are a very successful business. Part of being a successful business is knowing when you can operate at a loss and how long for, and then you do deals like this Facebook deal to offset that loss, and all of a sudden, in Q whatever the fuck, you turn a profit. That is the game. That is why you operate at a loss. And ESL have done that and done that consistently. Now, what you're supposedly telling me is that somehow, by the virtue of Dota being Dota, which, by the way, I've said this multiple times. I love Dota. I play the game. People know that now. It's out there. I stream it. I talk to the talent. You know, I haven't always been complimentary about it in the past. I've said some dumb shit. I've owned that dumb shit and apologized for that dumb shit. But I will never get on board with some of the stuff the community pulls. And this is another one of those times. But do you think Dota numbers are sufficient enough for ESL to make money simply offering a tournament? Because I will tell you, they have to fly those teams in. They have to put those teams up in a hotel. They have to hire a crew for as many days as there's games. And because Dota teams don't want to play multiple games in multiple days a lot of the time, so now we've got to draw out production for extra days. We need commentators. We need analysts. Fans want a bigger and better broadcasting experience. To even attract a TI winner or somebody that's finished high up in TI, you need a sizable prize pool. And if those teams aren't there, people say, oh, your event stinks. So all of a sudden you are pouring money into this pit. Where do you think the money comes from? Because I'll tell you, you can look at the books. Yeah, it is a money pit right now. The money comes from building a product that you then sell the broadcasting rights to, like every other fucking sport since TV existed. Yeah. And that's what they've done here. Facebook, is it ideal? Course not. Would it be my first pick? Course not. But they were the highest bidder, and ones that I understand from reading the press release and talking to industry people, there are more things coming in the fucking pipeline about this, which includes Facebook pulling their finger out and making their streaming platform more in line with what we're used to in esports. Now, you can cry and you can boycott and you can encourage, streamers to maliciously interpret what Valve was saying and broadcast games, right? And fuck ESL over, who, by the way, I'm not shilling for. I can't remember the last time I worked an ESL event, and I'm contracted to a major media company.
As a small aside, I really love that is still a thing. Like, here's the thing. In CSGO, we have these people, but they're from specific countries where I even give them like a very minor sort of pass for like, okay, I get it. You just don't understand that you can't have a stream in your language because you have not paid any of the rights. Like, I always say this, right? What really red-pilled me to a lot of issues to do with companies and property rights is when someone phrased it that way. Like, well, do you understand property rights? Do you agree with property rights? Like, if I owned something, Rich, say I start a company tomorrow and it's called, like, Thorin Broadcasting, and it's all my YouTube videos and it's all these things, right? Say someone comes along tomorrow and they just start putting all my videos up on another YouTube channel with my position, and they've just subtitled them all into Polish. And they go, well, I mean, your Polish fans couldn't watch it and they want to watch it. And they go, well, you could, how dare you take my video down? You don't even provide a Polish version. Yeah. I think you can all understand as a person that I could go, why the fuck do I have to do anything you say? Those are my videos. I own those. Yet what's bizarre is when you go to any company above one person and say like a small family-sized business, I've said this point in the past, every company suddenly becomes the evil empire and is like a multinational that's fucking everyone out the arse and making unlimited profit for the minimum investment, even if they're actually objectively not. Every company is treated that way, so that suddenly profit's evil as soon as you're a big company. I don't know why this is the way people really think. And so as a result, the maddest thing is, you made the perfect point there, where people will move the goalposts 180. So they'll start off going, well, fucking ESL's making so much money off these events, greedy little cunts. And you go, actually, I'm just supposed to tell you this, but they're running at a loss and probably will fucking be bust soon. Oh, well, in that case, well, why do they need to? Wait a minute, you can't change your position now. You've told me that they're greedy and that they're just making profit. I've told you they're not, and I've shown that you obviously don't even understand how much an event costs. Sadly, I don't blame fans, because even fucking pro players tell me stuff like this. They should give us better events. Sure. You know how much they make from these events? I go, tell me, mate. It goes millions and millions. I go, they don't. It costs millions to run the event. Yeah, but what about the ticket sales? Yeah, they actually lose on that as well because they need to get viewers in. No, but what about the merchandise? Yeah, they get a small cut of that and your team gets part of it as well. Yeah, but all you find is these little cunts move the goalposts non-stop till eventually they're not even playing football anymore. They're playing like fucking foosball or something on the table.
Yeah, it's insane. And I've said it a bunch of times. Companies don't make money off live events. Never have.
Here's the analogy, okay? I think a lot of people, especially from watching our show, now understand that if you're Virtus Pro or you're North, you are spending insane salaries that you're not making back in any way right now. I know you would think to yourself, again, this is where people reveal they don't know anything about business, but why would you spend the money then if you are not making it back? Do you not understand competition? Do you not understand having a foothold until the real money does come in a few years? Are these premises that are beyond you? Because if they are, you don't know the basics of business. So just as those teams are willing to take a loss now, essentially playing chicken with each other, like, let's see who can survive the longest. I can bleed money for 3 years. What? You can only do 2 years. Let's see if they come in time for you. If not, then I'll take your property.
The face of
that's everyone in esports.
We've lived through. Yes. That's what we've lived through.
Exactly.
That's literally what it's been. People losing money in a war of attrition. And then you wonder why players don't get paid. And you wonder why talent doesn't get paid. And you wonder why next time there's an event, your favourite casters don't get hired. And you go, who the fuck's this guy? Right? The whole point is, this does not run on fucking fairy dust. I am sorry to disappoint everybody, right?
Well, think of it this way, Rich.
You want it bigger and better, the average fan. They want it bigger and fucking better, and they want more money. And I'm going to tell you, for the Dota guys, here's the future. If you all want to boycott that stream, if you all want to boycott that fucking stream, you go do it. That is your right as a consumer. The reaction has been so far beyond what is reasonable. Here's what's going to happen. Do you think they're going to cancel their multi-million-dollar deal with Facebook? Or do you think they're going to cancel Dota events? Which one happens first, you fucking morons?
Well, that's also the other point, right? I always say this when it comes to other issues. I always say, right, even though, yes, anecdotal evidence is not like proof, just look in your own life. Like, just as in your own life, none of us here have a job where we have a female co-worker who makes 75% of what we make. Not a single one of us. So all of us collectively know that isn't happening, and yet we're all going to spout a lie that that's what the whole world's like. That's a fact. That's how it runs. So in the same way, everyone watching this stream right now, just take out your pocketbook, like a literal book, and write down how much you're paying to ESL every time they run an event. It's going to be whatever the tiny fraction that an ad view gives of your eyeball watching the game.
They're all using ad block, Duncan.
It's mega, isn't it? Yeah.
They're all using ad block.
Well, that's the genius.
You're not even for ad block.
What's great is that means you're not even actually paying them the ad. You're paying them sort of the fake ad, which is why now ads have been devalued, because they know most of the viewers aren't really watching them. So what's mental is all of us know we're not paying, yet you constantly demand more, better, everything to be increased, all the while thinking this company's making out like bandits. And this is the detail that drives me the maddest, Rich, is I understand people who are consumers. Well, that's such a fucking broken term in this context. I understand people who watch it for free. Freeloaders, there we go. I understand freeloaders who say, my viewing experience is not as good. Can I please have a better one? Yeah, I get it. I totally get why you would want that. Here's the part that I don't get. You definitely don't want to pay for it, do you? Nah. Well, this is the only way to not pay for it and for it to continue. You can either pay for it yourself or we can con some other fuck into paying for it. And by the way, right now, we've just sort of told you it ain't worth it for anyone right now. Don't give away the fucking jig or we'll all be paying pay-per-view for ESL Genting, won't we?
Yeah, and this is what I've been trying. What have I said for years? Pay-per-view is going to come. And here's the reason why. Because you will not let anyone offset that balance that you need to have to run a tournament, right? Facebook are desperate at getting at this. Everyone's desperate at getting to fucking esports now. That's why even dog shit teams are getting snapped up by venture capitalist groups for 20 million. And that's why people are paying 20 million to go into the fucking Overwatch League, right? Yeah. And paying 10 million to be in LCS, a repurposed product that existed. I saw a fucking league.
I know what you're talking about. Yes,
yeah, that bullshit
one with
like
Elevate has bought in to a league. What? Here's the thing. They've bought in, Rich, to a league that's going to attempt exclusive broadcast rights in games, including ones that they will never have exclusivity and currently have no rights to any game. Some fuckers have paid the million without having any rights to the game. All you paid for, that's like me taking a bit money off you, right? Do you want an exclusive property in downtown London? Fucking hell, yeah. That's available. Give me 10 million, I could make it happen. You pay me 10 million next day in the paper. Requesting exclusive property in London, already have 50 million up front. Like, this is some like Harrods level shit when that guy bought Harrods, without the money, and then he got people to do like a loan. And then when he got it, he paid it back using the money that the loan had given him. Like, you're a fucking baller, mate. I don't know how you're doing this.
No, but it's
literal bootstrapping.
Right. So here's the thing, right? Let's do the fucking math, right? You all know it ain't worth it to pay 20 mil to be in the Overwatch League. You know that. You know that. I know that. We all know that. Why are they paying it? Because it's about future projections. You all know it probably ain't worth 10 million to be in a fucking league in League of Legends that you were already in, but people are paying it. Why? Future projections, where esports going to go. You got these fucking rats that fucking ELB. It's a Ponzi scheme.
Hilarious, isn't it?
Right? Pay $1 million to be in a fucking league where we've got no rights to any games and don't even know what the games are going to be in a regional franchise league. Anybody who buys into that is a fucking idiot. I'll sell them a bridge tomorrow.
Mate, my favourite is all the European soccer clubs who buy into FIFA leagues, which the game doesn't even exist. Never mind Overwatch, where you have to get an already existing viewer base, a player base to become a viewer base. So they have a very difficult trick of trying to get a massive player base to become a viewer base. League have the same problem. FIFA is where you don't even have the player base in an esports context and you have no viewer base. And even they're buying in for, in their case, maybe not millions, hundreds of thousands. Again, all hundreds of thousands down the drain. And that's with like an even smaller fraction of a chance than the Overwatch League are working. People are so desperate to get in. That's the maddest part, Rich. This is like a bunch of people who were the captains of an old ship that's been gradually sinking, and they're going like, bail out faster, bail. And then these people are going, fuck, can I pay to smuggle myself onto the ship, into the hull? Like, are you out your fucking mind? It's going down. If I can just get on there, though, if they were to save it at the last minute, I'd be on the ship. Like, I can't handle this, please.
No, and is the thing, like, right? The ship's going to get to land and it's going to be awesome and we're going to create a utopia.
We have to survive. That's the thing.
It's been a hairy 15 years in esports, but now the good times are here, right?
But the problem is we've all got scurvy, and I promise the oranges are coming soon. If you just wait, the oranges are coming. Just stick on the ship.
And the reason people want in is because we've got the best demographic. We are the future.
That sounds like a fucking Trump speech right
now.
We've got the best
I've got to be real careful. We've got the best demographics. Sad, right? We've got the best demographics. People want in on this, and that's why they're paying crazy fucking money. And the only way you get your free stream with a high-level fucking tournament with all the best teams, effectively paid to attend and have the chance of winning prize money, right, and having a practice room and everything else. The only reason any of this happens with your favourite casters and, oh, wouldn't it be nice if this caster was there as well? Well, we've already hired 5 casters. No, you must hire more. You must hire more casters. You must hire all the casters that I've ever liked, even in a fleeting capacity. You want 18 casters at an event. How do we do this? How are we doing this? Here's how we're doing this. We go to companies like Facebook and go, you want in on this esports shit? You want in on this? Yes. Trust me, you want in on this. And they go, yeah, you're right, actually, we do. We've noticed our demographic is crazy. It's like the same demographic as Fox News. We need these young motherfuckers. And we're like, well, we're esports. We get all the young motherfuckers.
Yeah, right? Listen, man, so I know the lottery hasn't...
Stop streaming some esports and we'll get the young motherfuckers.
Listen, you're almost broke, drug dealer, right? Yeah, I am. Oh, well, here's the thing. I've got a lottery ticket. Fuck, how much did you win? Hasn't happened yet. But you can buy in a parlay on this lottery ticket. Yeah, but you might not win, though. It's better than your chance. We're both going to fail otherwise, isn't it? Fuck. I want half your shit. Half? Yeah, but I win billions if I win the lottery, though. Oh, fucking hell. I am losing. So here's the maddest part as well, Rich. Even as someone who, again, doesn't know all the details, think of it this way. Here's a great way to think about this Facebook scenario. Because remember, I've argued the whole time. I've never once said that Facebook would be a great platform and that's great right now. Never once said that ever. Never. So I've always argued the hypothetical of it's a great premise and we need this mechanism through perhaps another streaming service one day to allow us to get there. Here's 2 factors people haven't thought of. One, if Facebook really utterly fails and ESL doesn't drop it, you now know that ESL doesn't make money. And now even getting paid for no viewers is actually better than having 1,000,000% of a pie that's worth nothing. And better than that, if it ever is worth something. So by the way, think of it this way. Let's say it fails outright, like you guys are certain it will. Then inevitably, they will have to switch back to Twitch, won't they? Problem solved. We've switched back, problem solved. Let's say it doesn't fail. Now, Twitch will have to actually fucking pay for those rights. Because guess what? Why is Twitch not willing to pay for any of these rights? Why are they willing to essentially let you guys bleed out?
It's almost as if having a monopoly or an effective monopoly, it's almost as if having a monopoly, it gives you some kind of advantage in negotiations, Duncan. I don't know. I can't think how you could possibly leverage being the only fucking show in town. You know, how could you possibly leverage it?
Which is exactly to tie back in again, where people can take the same premise and take the opposite side on it simultaneously. So they'll go, ESL trying to get exclusivity of the industry. Fucking disgrace. How dare they do that? Even though they were doing it through totally legal means, by the way. Yeah. Facebook has an operational monopoly because even their own fans will be like, you should let fucking Apple have everything in the entire world and Google. Let them all run everything. What is antitrust? Get rid of it.
No, but this is the other thing, and then we're definitely off this topic, right? But fuck me. Oh, God, what triggered me harder than all of this was people trying to rewrite history and fucking pretend that they weren't as just wound up and over the top about YouTube.
Yes.
About YouTube. Yeah. Now they're all like, well, no,
cool
it should be Twitch or YouTube. You all hated YouTube. You all said fuck YouTube. You all refused to go to YouTube. You didn't go to YouTube.
Which, by the way,
posted YouTube viewership and said, look how down it is, or look how bad it is. You complained about ESL and Face It being on YouTube. Non-stop hate for YouTube. And now you went, well, if it ain't on YouTube. You can't be real people.
No, it's the way 99% of people who are against this deal came at it from the angle of like that thing of like, who the fuck even, you know, that thing of like, I don't even have a TV anymore. It was like that. It's like, who the fuck has a Facebook anymore? I don't want to go on there. That's where my schoolmates are. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? What's that got to do with this? And they're just going, what if I'm watching a game and Billy from high school's messaging me on Facebook Messenger? You don't have to have an account. But even so, like, yeah, I've got you there. Like, that little pause there is where I could go inside your mind and source code this motherfucker and play it out 1,000,000 times and beat you.
As I said, when I hear a good argument that isn't either, but Facebook isn't as good quality, we've addressed that, we've answered that.
Remember, Rich,
I don't like Facebook. That's it. They're the only two arguments.
Here's also the main argument as well is ESL's being greedy in the short term. Opposite scenario, you moron. They're trying to actually play the long-term game, and they're taking a loss in the short term.
Yeah.
Public loss, admittedly, they were gaining money, but they're taking a massive public loss by... Funnily enough, here's another example, by the way, of where people like ECS and other leagues are the biggest little rats in esports, because they're always happy for ESL to go first, take all the flack, and then what they do is, once people accept what's happened, they do it themselves. So I've never seen a thread that was like, fuck ECS. How dare they be on YouTube? Because you know what? Everyone's too busy saying fuck ESL.
Yeah.
And they love ECS, even though ECS did the exact same thing.
And like
it baffles me.
They're attacking talent as well.
Oh, by the way, remember, if you're the best example is Lurpus. He has worked, I think he said he's worked, he hasn't worked an ESL event in something like 4 years or 5 years, maybe more. I think it might have been I think it was EMS1, like back before the majors, those ones where it was like Red Eye and Pansy, and I think Lurpus maybe did somewhat on one of those. That's when he last worked for ESL. So again, this is how bad people have to move the goalposts, because they're saying, oh, you're all just shills. Well, I mean, he doesn't get hired for ESL events, does he? So logically, he should be against it, right? No, but he does work for DreamHack. He's done one DreamHack event in the last 3 years. Yeah, but DreamHack's sort of owned by the same company, so it's the same thing. Great. So now that's like going, you just work for fucking Google, don't you? Nah, I don't, but I once had a YouTube account. I just go,
I work for a direct competitor that has just signed a deal to exclusively stream stuff on Twitch, which I fully support and think is a good decision for the company I work for. Do I think other companies should be punished, penalised beyond what is reasonable?
And by the way,
which is a boycott for selling their broadcasting rights when that is their business model? No, I do not. And even though I consider it twist, it's the opposite of shilling.
Yes. There is the key point as well. You're actually just being fair in spite of circumstances which would actually tell you not to even shill, just be silent. Just let them get attacked still.
Yeah.
Here's the key detail you said there, Rich, that is so key to this topic, is that the business model of ESL is nothing like E-League's business model. Because why is E-League able to run without having to charge fans directly, without having to have broadcasting rights sold for massive amounts? Because they are a fucking TV channel. That's the reason why, remember, the way they always attacked E-League was like, why is this not just for free online with everything in my country? Because it's a fucking TV channel. Their business model is make you watch their TV channel in it. So they've sort of got a different kind of money flow than a company that doesn't have, say, a TV channel sponsoring them. And you know that the solution's always easy. It's like we're all sat here, right, trying to solve like some fucking really like, how will we? Right, imagine this. We're all sat around trying to crack the atom so we can make the nuclear bomb. Oh, fuck, how are we going to do it? Like, what would the way to get the atom to explode be? And a guy walks up to the fucking chalkboard and he goes, me, an intellectual. And then he draws a little stick of dynamite and he goes, imagine this was the atom. See this cloud? You want that to happen. Do that and you've solved it. And they go, well, what would the mechanism be though? Did you not hear me? Make the atom explode and then you've got a bomb, haven't you? And then they go, no, but you've articulated exactly how no one can make that leap. And then they're going, well, here's the thing. Get more viewers. I'll give you the ultimate analogy. The ultimate analogy, Rich, I'll give you the very quick version of why I don't have all my videos as a SoundCloud and RSS iTunes podcast stream. Because I have not found a way that adds up with any numbers from any test case I have seen that would make it worth my while monetarily to do that. Yes, you're right. Loads more people would listen. They'd listen in the car, on trains, while at the gym. Loads more viewers would watch, Rich. You know the problem with that? I didn't say to people, yeah, but how am I going to make money? I'll make my money through people watching on YouTube. But that's the thing. When you get more viewers, you can then sell sponsorship and make the same money back. Why the fuck would I do that? So I have to now dedicate my life to making the same money back I'm making now, maybe, as opposed to just making the same money I've got now and not doing that.
We upload all our stuff on iTunes, man. All right, we should stop as well. I'm sick of it, mate. Every time, Sam, you're uploading it too slow. I do this for nothing, mate.
I mean, I try not to say it. It
costs us money. It's like $200 for the fucking hosting drive. It ain't sound like...
It is an Emperor's Got No Clothes scenario, so I'm trying not to say anything because I don't want to wreck all you fuckers that I don't like. But it is rough, isn't it? It is rough.
No, here's the thing. I'll call that one. It's definitely right. Like that.
There's just no way to make the numbers add up, is there?
Yeah, people fucking hit us up all the time.
Because again, what they're saying is, it'd be really convenient for me if you just took away all the mechanisms that make you money.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how would I make money? Sponsors.
Yeah. Do you want to set up these fucking meetings? Do you want to go to these meetings for me when I've already got a full-time job? And
here's the thing, Thorin.
When am I doing it?
You're behind the game, mate. Why are you making direct ad revenue when what you could do instead is join an affiliate program for Stamps.com and do a Stamps.com intro at the beginning of every one, and then for every 100 people who even go to that fucking site, you get 1/10 of a pence. And if you get 10 million, probably make half what you're making now. Yeah. Sound appealing? I feel like that fucking guy in the end of, like, what's it? Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, like, you chose poorly. Guys.
It's beyond a joke, mate. And like, here's the thing, like, I never chops on about that too much, but it's like, I've said it a bunch. I've worked in a bunch of industries and done a bunch of stuff in my life. The fucking esports community is beyond entitled.
The most entitled I've ever seen.
And I loathe entitlement. It's really
that's why Dota's the best example, and why that's why Dota will unfortunately always seem like it's being attacked by you and me. Because here's the problem. With the exception of StarCraft 2, which finally has been chalked out of their entitlement, and they now realise if we get anything cool, that's great because we are nothing.
Joke when we're talking about Dota, please.
But yeah. Anyway, the point is, Dota people to this day still think they are the main esports demographic, that they are the chosen community. Like, this is why the number one way to attack me whenever a video goes up on there is, see, he's finally come crawling back from his other games that obviously don't make him any money, like CSGO and League of Legends. And he's come back to make some fucking money off Dota, hasn't he? I've told him before, I could show you my fucking analytics if it wasn't literally illegal on YouTube. I literally make less money for the Dota videos than I do for any other game. I am operating at a loss. I could make a video right now that's called Thorin's Ill-Informed Thoughts on Stewie 2K. And in the first minute, I go, don't really watch Stewie 2K play, but here's 20 minutes of me waffling on. And it would make 2 to 3 times more than the best piece of Dota content where I do an interview with, like, the best player ever, and we go into every game he ever played.
Yeah,
they still don't get that, though, because remember, it's Dota. You have entered the hallowed temple of Dota. You must fucking prostrate thyself.
Yeah, and it's like, listen, you're right about your fucking game being, pretty good, but the rest of but the rest of the shit don't matter.
It is the CS 1.6 of games, though. It's like you've got all the hardcore fans, none of the casuals, except all the fake Chinese people who also don't contribute any money to ESL, by the way. Should we just go ahead and throw that out there? So again, I promise, I've told you last week, Rich, I can't keep saying this because I don't want anyone to get killed.
I've always disliked those fake Chinese.
Let me just say this one point, okay? I will say this one thing to everyone in Dota, and by the echoing silence of nobody being able to come back, you will realise what a sham your entire ecosystem is. So you're told that there are streaming companies in Dota in China who are getting millions of viewers and paying people up to $1 million a year salary. Why aren't they in any way wanting to sponsor someone who does an event like ESL? They don't like money.
That's a good point.
It's almost like it's not real, isn't it?
I mean,
that's a bit depressing now. I've thought about that, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's like I say, man, people are always fucking saying, why didn't you put the stuff out for fucking free? I mean, it's like, dog, we make no money. First of all, YouTube, by the way, who are now getting a pass from the gaming community.
I love that as well. I don't want to pay anything for this. So can you do it for free? I need money, though. Greedy.
Yeah.
Can I have some of your money, even a tiny bit? No. Give me all yours for free. Greedy.
Yeah.
Can you stop saying greedy when you're the one who won't give any money?
Yeah. It's mad, right? But like, what people don't realize is as well how the YouTube money shit works. Now, before you even put your video live, it's demonetized.
Mad, isn't it?
Right? So here's how it works. So if you think we make any money on any of our YouTube videos, like, trust me, I'm sending Sam. I don't know. He can fucking blow it on a takeaway what he gets, right? So here's how it works. We upload a video to YouTube. It goes to a yellow fucking circle, demonetized. That's before it even goes out live. This algorithm, reader, whatever, has deemed all of the content to be bad. It goes away. So now what we have to do is we cannot change that status with a manual review until we put it live. And it then needs over 3,000 views to get a manual review, which takes up to 3 days. So by the time it hits whatever the fuck, between 30,000, 60,000, whatever it's going to be, if the manual review falls...
And anyone, by the way, who thinks that this is a coincidence that Facebook accidentally tripped over and took all the profit for themselves without having to share any with you. Oh, fuck. It's like that classic thing, Rich. Oh, I fucked up. What have you done? Yeah. I've made my mate, who I have business ties with, make billions off a war that I really never should have got into. Well, mistakes happen.
Right?
I can't. So please, get
by the time
it's like the fucking
that they've manually reviewed it and given me the green tick, I've made nothing on it. There's literally like maybe a day left of people even clicking on the vid. And that's it. So now it just sits there. It could have made £100, but instead it has made £5. Right? So if you think the YouTube content's great, I'm not even talking about the adpocalypse, the actual mechanism of uploading even a podcast. Why do you think we took this podcast to Patreon? It would literally not be worth mine or Duncan's time.
Wait a minute, Rich. Wait a minute. So we can actually afford to run this and make a profit by the end user paying for the experience.
Mad, I know. It's mad. It's mad.
Fuck, that's...
I know. It's bonkers, isn't it? It's mind-blowing. It's almost as if... Now, look, here's the thing as well. Let's not pretend that me and Duncan charge for all of our content. The amount of content we've put out for free down the years, right, and even now consistently, Duncan's got something wrong with him, guys. He does a video a day, no matter what. I don't even know. It's like just mad shit. I'll just tune in. Thorin's side. Today, I'm thinking about anime. I'm like, what is wrong with this one? I can't even keep up with the shit he's putting out, right? And all for free, all of the time.
Mate, the most mentally ill one I've ever done.
I saw people replying going, greedy. I'm out.
The most mentally ill one ever, Rich, I'll even admit, was where I made a video which was essentially a 20-minute review of why G Fuel is good. G Fuel refuses to sponsor me, Rich. They won't even send me it for free. I buy the fucking product, ship it from America, but I actually care so much about the fact it's a legit... I actually think it's a legit project. It's literally, Richard, the opposite of shilling. This is like me paying... I'm paying G Fuel to advertise their product. That's the opposite of shilling.
As if anything, said, look, mate, I can't even send you a sachet of it, mate. You're just too hot, mate. You ain't getting out.
I've got like 5 tubs of it downstairs. I ship it from America at a massive rate.
He's operating at a loss on G Fuel.
I'm here selling this scenario, and they're like, greedy little cunt. Why are you making that video? Help.
Fucking hell. But anyway, look, let's talk about the fucking...
This is like a Black Mirror episode, isn't it? Get me out of this.
It is the thing. Like, I wouldn't talk about Counter-Strike at all this episode. I think we're getting onto some real shit right now. Like, people don't fucking know.
We're red-pilling the fuck out of people right now, aren't we?
People, like, the thing that annoys me the most as well is, like, I get it. You think esports is a fucking dream. You'd love to quit that 9 to 5 and get up in this bitch, right? I get it. I understand what you're saying. You have no fucking idea. You have no idea the hustle, the grind, the fucking hours, the amount of money that goes in, fighting for fucking checks and invoices that never fucking show up, broken promises,
That's
bullshit.
The best reason as to why most people involved are not out for money, because they never had any hope. You have to essentially be broken on the wheel of never even having a hope of making $1, go through like a lifetime of that, and then one day at the end, you might, by pure chance, make loads of money. Because remember, the sickest thing about my YouTube content is, I do the same amount of... I mean, I do a bit more now, but I generally do the same amount of content as I did when I first went freelance in 2014. So I do the same content. I now make more money than I used to for it. Think about what a mad business that is. So I can do the same content. If it goes to shit next month, make nothing. If it goes really well, make 10 times more. No logic as to why. Nobody who is motivated by money would do this. You don't think I non-stop get people, I will buy your YouTube off you and we will integrate your videos into our site and we will pay you a monthly fee. No thanks, I would like to retain my autonomy. Greedy little cunt.
No, but it's beyond the job. I keep trying to say it to people. Like, you don't understand. Like, I joined E-League. People go, oh, you fucking sellout. I joined E-League because I don't want to be on that freelance grind. It's torture. It's fucking torture. right? I'd be competing with people for gigs, and then you invoice, and does it show up and doesn't it? And there's always an excuse and bullshit. And this is from fucking people as well. This isn't like when you go to some fucking event that no one's ever heard of. People are still fighting tooth and nail to get money turned up in their fucking bank account that they worked for. When E-League came along and said, here's, look, 6 figures, you know what you're doing, here's a visa, live out in America, you know, just fucking tone the Twitter down, don't be a dickhead. I was like, all right, you know what, man, I'm fucking past my mid-30s now. Enough's enough. Right, like, but people think, you're so lucky. Like, yeah, brilliant. Felt real lucky when I was sleeping on a motherfucking couch, getting paid £400 a fucking month, being told I should be grateful for that because I was getting cuckolded by the almighty esports dollar. Y'all don't know shit. And the mad part is, when companies are trying to do it right and bring new money into the industry, what do? You turn around and shit on them. Fuck you. You're all cunts. You want your favourite talent. No, listen. Real talk. You want your favourite fucking talent who you claim that you love.
Get in that sweatshop.
Go hungry. Go hungry. Literally hungry. You wonder why. Where are all the new people coming through in the industry? They can't hack it more than a year. They're too poor. They're too poor. They can't hack it.
We didn't actually find out that we both had this same story until years after the fact. But when me and you, because remember, me and you both actually started to get like bigger profiles after the global recession, which killed off so many people that all the people who actually sort of like had a big name were like, I think I might just pivot out of this. It's a shit show. I'm out. So when they all left is when we got like big on our respective sites, right? What people won't know is we both had the same experience where we basically worked slave labor hours for like less than like literally below minimum wage. And while working for below minimum wage, because there was that much pressure on our bosses to run the site within the margins, our bosses would bring us in for meetings every week and sort of be like, now I know you've worked 80 hours this week and you've basically broken records on the site for traffic and numbers of posts, but I'm going to have to reprimand you because you are fucking shit and I'm going to need twice as much next week. And you had to just go, yes, sir, how high shall I jump? Back into the breach I go.
Man, I couldn't sit down when I was a website editor. People always go, why did you have all that beef with fucking the League of Legends Reddit mods? I'm going to tell you why. Because I worked for a small media company, right, that had a portfolio of websites that weren't making no money because we'd just come out of a global recession and all the marketing budgets had been cut down, right, to the bare minimum. And then after that, right, you fucking, well, as long as we've got click-through ads, ad block, you say, ad block becoming more and more sophisticated. You'll notice I've never once spoke up about ad block. Those motherfuckers who were like, smash through your iPhones to get your dick sucked or whatever, they fucked it for everyone, those cunts. Because those ads are outrageous. I don't blame you for building a piece of software that shuts those out, right? So anyway, we were sat there.
Plus, on that one, like, to be fair, the quick way, the reason why we never bring up ad block is because it's the same as someone in the music industry going, you know how much we'd be making without MP3s? Well, we can't go back in time, can we, you daft cunt?
Yeah, well, it's not even that. Like, I don't even think it's a bad idea. I remember those pop-up ads. I remember the internet when it was fucking gangland. You know what I mean? You'd be on Alta Vista.
Pop and gangland style.
Right? You'd be down there. And it was fucking dog shit. It was fucking dog shit, right? So, anyway, I had to
click on this ad to eat a Tide Pod now. Make the man eat a Tide Pod.
Yeah, you would do that.
Make him be sick and win an iPhone.
And then, right, so I'm working for this small media company, right, and I've got a dozen people, right, and they're fucking...
Mate, maybe that's the solution. The only way we can save esports is by having fucking Tide Pods come in as a lifestyle sponsor.
As it come to this, as it come to Tide Pods
and basically, we're going to have Vince eat one because Quantum Bellator Fires made it to the playoffs. He has to eat all the Tide Pods.
On a sponsored stream.
Fuck your Tide Pods.
Right? While I drink G Fuel at my own cost. Go on, Vince. Go on, son.
So I had like 6 to 12 people working at this company, and this is literally what would happen all the time. The gaffers who owned it, they were like a family business type thing. They would come in and they would be like, listen, if we don't fucking sell more ads or get another advertising campaign going on, or get more click-throughs, someone's going to have to get fired. Someone's going to have to get fired. And all these other games started popping off back then, the StarCraft and the League of Legends. And they were going, literally pulled into meetings and told, but you better learn that game then. I was like, what do you mean learn that game? No, you better learn that game. And but I can't just like learn a game. I'm not authentic in the space. I can't just inject myself and go, hi, everyone, remember me. I don't know why, because of course all the old boys club were doing it. Loved StarCraft, loved Brood War. Do you know the 3 races in the game of StarCraft? Love Brood War. You've got the insect ones. Right, brilliant. Yeah, you're authentic, right? So I never did it, right? I never did that. And then when League of Legends come along and started blowing up, that was a real big opportunity, right, for me to get involved. So I started writing all these articles and doing all these things, and doing opinion pieces and doing interviews and doing, of course, famously roster swaps and just non-stop abuse. I remember writing an op-ed about what an op-ed is and why you shouldn't be afraid of it, because that community's just all fucking mentally ill and don't understand what journalism is. I did all of that. Right. And every time an article got deleted, my managers would be like, well, that's massive. That's a massive hit on the traffic. We're going to have to let fucking Jim go. We're going to have to let Jim go, and his daughter's on dialysis. And I'd be like, listen, I got this.
Just patch you into a live feed, Richard.
Yeah, no, it was like, no, serious.
Why can't you get the odd one to do an interview, please, Richard?
Yeah, imagine the pressure, right? You're meant to be running this website, Rich, and Jim's daughter's on dialysis. So here you go. This is what's happening. I mean, like, if he loses his job, she's really fucked, right? And you'd be like, no, listen. I'll talk to the mods, and I'll get them to undelete the thing. And they wouldn't undelete the thing. So then I have to go back to the managers and be like, listen, I can get us some traffic. I can keep this ship afloat. Like, Jim's daughter's not going to die. Fuck it. Take one of my kidneys. How much can you fucking do? And this is what I mean. Like, do you think the esports industry is this flush with money? If that is my experience, I've got a fucking ulcer, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? I like, there's not a week goes by where I don't vomit blood when I get fucking stressed out. I'm reamed out and fucked up. I give all my best years to esports, and I didn't make a dime.
Mate,
I left it all on the table, and somehow you're telling me I'm a fucking shill.
A lot of people don't know Richard is my fucking sleeper pick in the death pool versus Anders, the consensus favourite.
It's so bonkers, like, oh, but yeah, don't let Facebook in. Please let your talent not go through what I went through.
But I don't want to be watching a game and have grandma send me a meme about the dog from Russia. That's not even it. It's not that. It's just so like the name.
It's just so unreasonable. If you still think we're all fucking rolling around on piles of money, you think people like me and Duncan are rolling around on piles of money. Nah, never. We never got no stock options. We never got no big sponsorships. Fuck, we were barely scraping by on events because we were controversial figures, right? We had to fucking take the lower day rate, didn't we? Bow and scrape and get in there. In fact, this is by the numbers. Well, when this was sponsored by AlphaCraft, they didn't fucking want me. They didn't want me. My agent had to do some mad triple deal where Monte Cristo was the big sell, Duncan was the second sell, and then, by the way, you get this bald idiot on the fucking side. And I was meant to do the League of Legends one, and I wasn't allowed because Riot and Alpha Draft were like, we could get squeezed out here.
We don't mention that name around here, Richard.
Yeah,
it's unnamed fantasy betting site, which, quite frankly, I do not endorse.
No one.
Excuse me, G Fuel.
Oh. Yeah. Right? You know what I mean?
Tastes like Tide.
My first contract for that Alpha Draft deal was literally, we'll see how you do. We'll give you 3 months, yeah? And I got paid
fucking hell. I've just thought of the most fire G Fuel flavour ever.
What?
Right? It tastes like Tide. So you start spewing up blood. It's called Crimson Tide.
What are you on?
Contact me, G Fuel. Contact me, or Tide. Either way, we can both go with it. In fact, that's it. You know, G Fuel's making money selling powder for drinks. Tide, get in on this shit. Pour water in. I mean, everyone will be dead. Timestamp everything on this.
Can you not do that? Like, can you not do that? By now, why do you want our audience dead? It's just ridiculous. Anyway, look, I feel like it's gone off the rails. I take control. The point is that even back then, think about by the numbers in ancient history, I was still struggling to get that money. I had to beg and fucking borrow and steal. If I didn't have an agent to vouch for me, it would never happen. This podcast wouldn't fucking exist. And even now we're having to fund it by the people. I'm telling you.
Well, and what's great is
out. Everyone's poor again. What you doing?
And there's the analogy. Remember, we're trying to do this podcast, doing as many episodes as we can. As people can see, you're at the major right now. No matter where we are in the world, we're doing this podcast. I was in someone's fucking house on their table doing it the other week, right, with the blazing hot sun cooking my neck from behind. So I looked like some fucker out of like Lawrence of Arabia or something at the end of it. So anyway, all you need to know is this, right? We're doing all this shit. And then we have fuckers like, I've donated $1. I expect more of you.
Remember him. I chipped my dollar in, so you need, please, like,
dance
you don't
for my song.
You don't come to the board meeting, you cunt. It don't work like that. It's so fucked up, mate. Anyway, do you want to talk about this major or what?
May as well.
While we're here,
I suppose it's.
Yeah.
Fuck this show. I'm out. Right. No, I can't. Let's do it. Let's talk about some CS. But like, just again, we're just keeping it real, right? We're keeping it 100 as we always do. That's the fucking shit, right? Like, people ain't getting paid, and if you keep driving the people who want to pay for content out of the fucking business with your pathetic little tantrums, no one's going to get paid. And then you're going to wake up one day and be like, "Where did Daddy go?" Daddy being your favorite content creator, and guess what? He fucking went the same place your real daddy went, where you don't know, to jail probably.
Cigarettes.
A fucking liquor store just to make ends meet, you fucking idiots. Anyway, gonna transition in now. Let's start by talking about Big.
How are you gonna go from the fact that all of their fathers have left to go buy fucking stuff from a liquor store to like, let's talk about Big?
So let's talk about Big. So Big didn't have a big performance at the major. Very, very.
In many ways, almost seemed like they turned back into children after pretending to be a fully grown team.
Benjamin
Reference game on point.
But yeah, so that's one team I want to talk about. I think they were actually getting followed by our documentary crew while we were out there, right? And a few people had like some high hopes on them. You know, we wanted a middle of the pack team that was maybe going to do all right, but they were like fucking really disappointing. And like, the 16-1 that happened against Na'Vi, I think, is one of the worst performances I've seen from any team at the major. So at any major.
All you need to know is they got dicked by Team Liquid with Zeus.
Yes, they did. 16-5.
Right?
So they won the first pistol round as terrorists on Inferno, and then lost 16 straight rounds after that for Na'Vi to win 16-1. This is a struggling Na'Vi. This is a Na'Vi that's far from pristine.
And by the way, that's the same map where you have all been watching. In fact, that map, the CT side of that map, forced the best team in the world, SK Gaming, to cut a fucking player because it was just so impossible to play the CT side with vastly superior players to Big. And Big's making Na'Vi look like geniuses.
So I mean, don't get me wrong, Na'Vi, which we'll get to, had a pretty good fucking record on Inferno. But, you know, like, I was watching them, and then out of nowhere, they fucking eliminate North, who will get to. Yeah, mad banter. But then, of course, they got crushed by Space Soldiers. So I got to ask your thoughts about Big in general. For me, there was a couple of issues here. Like, I'm still not really God B, I still think is a great in-game leader. I still think he's very tactically astute. The executes the team were doing were great. The problem is, you do the executes and then no one can hit a shot. Well, you're not going to win games, you know? And Tabson was so far off the pace he'd shown in 2017, and in particular at their last major run, that was a huge factor. Keeve on the AWP is so wildly inconsistent. And of course, you are still dragging Legia along, who is somebody that, honestly, if I ever wanted to make a compelling case for who was the worst player in Counter-Strike, Legia would certainly give me enough footage from enough clips to do it. So it's like, I still think there's positives on this team. But I'm willing to admit now, which I wasn't before, when they had that major run and I tweeted out there how they were the most improved team in Europe, it really does start to make me wonder the fact that they did have that bug abuse on Inferno and they only played Inferno and they only went 3-0. Yeah,
I'll give you another factor that not a lot of people know. So obviously, famously, Nex has fallen apart on big stages such as majors. Well, actually, at that last major, he did pretty well. Like, that's one of those scenarios where, listen, people might think that like it's all hyperbole when you make a title to a video. I wasn't joking when I compared Nex to the fucking Weimar Republic of German Counter-Strike. The guy is the most fraudulent, like ridiculous front scenario. It's like saying, I know that you know in like cartoons where they can never really sort of leave the premise of the cartoon and go on holiday to a beach. They go and they see a cardboard cutout of a beach and they go, imagine being there, right? It might be nice to look at, but there's no substance, is there? You can't go in the sand. It's just a cardboard cutout. That's what Nex is like. The guy is like, this has been tried 50 times over. And here's the thing. I don't blame Big. Big as a team and a company is in a position where beggars can't be choosers. They've already looked out on the lottery that God B is willing to keep going in this project. So they've got one piece that's world class. Then they managed to get Tabson, and somehow he actually went to world class level. Wow, 2 pieces that are world class level. As in, and no joke, you could take them today. Tabson and God B, just tell me that, give me the budget of Mouse Sports or some team of that, or Optic, and give me God B and Tabson, and I'll make you a team that's definitely top 8 at the next major. But here's the thing, beggars can't be choosers. They have no choice for the other players. There aren't any. I mean, unless you're going to start with nobodies, complete nobodies, it ain't going to happen. And if there was ever a team that proves the power of friendship is fucking garbage at winning video games, it's got to be this team, right? Because as far as I can tell, they do all get along. They have a brilliant time. They even all do all the tactics and all their role in it, and they all listen and they all study the demos. Means fuck all in a video game where you have to be able to aim on someone and press mouse 1.
Yeah, and like, I don't know if you want to keep it German, right? I don't know what the options are.
You don't have to, but
yeah, you definitely don't. You do. Yeah, you definitely don't. I mean, you look over at Sprout, for example, like maybe you could take a couple of pieces out of that. I don't know what it would be because I thought Crystal was awful at the major. I'm no fucking fan of Spiddy and Dennis either. Maybe there's something you can do. But
here's the thing, mate. I'm not even dissing when I say this. Everyone knows that I think Dennis is a pretty bad player. He would be an upgrade over some players on Big. He would actually be a fucking serviceable player if he played for Big.
Well, yeah, that is fucked up.
It is, isn't it? It's messed up.
Yeah.
It's like me saying, for the love of God, recruit Happy as your in-game leader. Like, fucking hell, how far is this going? What, have you changed heart? Do you think he's good? Nah, one of the worst players ever.
You and Happy, man. I can't wait for the next fucking event you're at when you can sit down and have a drink with him again. Because,
I mean, a lot of people not fucking blink before he's gone.
The thing is, a lot of people think you and him don't get along, but I remember you getting him that present. What was it? That gift you got him?
I bought him a graphic novel. I'll tell you what it was if you want.
Do it. Yeah.
It was the Warren Ellis run on Thunderbolts, which is basically sort of like a Suicide Squad Marvel version, if you remember. And the whole point of this run was, in it, they have Norman Osborn take over the Thunderbolts, and he runs it. And because Warren Ellis is like a really, like, just a great script mechanic, he gets a really tight little 2-volume series out of it. And the whole point of why I gave it to Happy was, the message was, this is sort of like your team in Envious. You have all these good parts, but you have to do the really tough job of bringing them together and getting them all to work together. And I tried to do it as sort of like encouragement, an olive branch, threw it back in my face immediately, of course, implied that he had a system in Counter-Strike that would literally be like some Reich that would last 1,000 years. It would never fail. He had broken the game forever, and he would probably always succeed. And besides, why do you like that existence guy? Only losers go out of majors.
Well, there you go.
Well, hoisted on his own motherfucking petard.
I can't believe he didn't like that gift.
Tell you what, Hastro, you should be called fucking Hasbro the way you're just paying for toys, motherfucker. That's straight fire. That's fucking insane. How am I doing this?
Put that in your fucking album, mate.
Timestamp that and put that on my feature on my new album.
Yeah. But no, like, it was fucking... I can't believe he threw that back in your face. I thought that was a nice gift. Even if you were comparing him with the Green Goblin. Like,
mate, that's an upgrade. Green Goblin had some fucking skills.
Yeah, no doubt. So yeah, Big were one of the most disappointing teams at this event for me. we finally got to the end where they bow out. Of course, the other super disappointing, although it's like we said, it's not even a shock or anything now, is Virtus.pro. A lot of people came out after we watched Virtus.pro bow out of the major, lose that legend status. And it's really weird. Yeah, I know it's going to tilt you. I know a lot of people are like, legends never die, we love you. They've been bad for fucking ages, haven't they? In fact, on day one, Taz leant over to me, and obviously me and Taz up and down on each other loads. And like over the course of the show, we've talked about some shit, and yeah, maybe I said some shit I shouldn't have said, and vice versa, But it's like when you my first commitment's obviously to the listener, and sometimes you hear stuff and you probably shouldn't say stuff and it makes you an asshole. Never trade secrets or whatever, but just general stuff about the team. So anyway, he came over to me while I was sitting down for the very first game, and he said something like, yeah, you said we were going to crash out of the tournament. And I went, no, but I hadn't even said that, I don't think. On the last podcast we did, I thought
he's probably just become fucking telepathic. He's seen in the future, isn't he? He just heard you in his sleep. And
maybe.
Virtus.pro been eliminated from the major last.
Yeah, maybe.
What's going on?
So I said to him, I don't think I said that actually, brother. I think because they got drawn against Quantum Bellator Fire. So I was like, I think I said on the last week's podcast, I was like, surely they can't lose to Quantum Bellator Fire. That's what I said. Well, not only can they lose, they can fucking get absolutely fucking wrecked. Beyond a joke, 16-3. Like they're not even in the game at any fucking point, right? Like you are not in the game. And then you're like, well, it's actually all right, because when the way majors work with the Swiss system, you can lose a game. You can lose a game and then you just play some dog shit team in the next game. So unfortunately for them, they did get Fnatic, right? Which
still not the best team in the world, though. It's like the fucking 8th best team there or something, No,
yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's 16-8. You're like, all right, well, shit happens. It's not all bad. It's not all bad.
Times the charm.
Yeah. Now they're going to play a really shit team. But they didn't. They played Cloud9. So fair enough. Bit unlucky in that sense. But Cloud9 just destroyed them.
You have to be able to beat someone to make it out of these tournaments.
No, I get it.
Sort of diminishing returns of these. Like, well, what can we do? We played Cloud9. Aren't they like the 5th best team there? Yeah. If only we could have drawn the 16th, 15th, and 14th best teams, maybe we could have made it out.
Well, you did draw them in your first game. Yeah, but we weren't warmed up yet. It's mental. It is mental. And it's like, look, at this point, I want to refer back to everything we said on the last podcast about please start your own org. Please, I believe it was Zach De La Rocha that said we got to take the power back. Just get out from under ES Force, whatever the fuck's going on. You're not even having a good time. You all look miserable. At events. You're not even hanging out with each other anymore. You're not even hanging out between games. You know what I mean? Like, you got Neo sat in his chair. Guys, just stop it. Just please stop it. It's too much now. It's too much for anybody. And I'm not going to twist it. I thought Moses actually did give a good little speech like that.
This is what tilts me. Just keep going, because it's all going to build into what I'm going to do, mate. So go on, keep going.
Well, no, I was going to say, I thought Jason did give a good speech.
Yeah, he did a great job.
Yeah, where he said, we shouldn't be too harsh, but, I think it's fair to say enough's enough, and when they do eventually retire, we're all going to miss him. And that's all true. And I agreed with everything he said on that broadcast. But it still doesn't alter the fact that they are a very lucratively salaried team who right now...
Number one salaried team.
Right, so I've heard as well. Although this MIBR thing, who fucking knows what's going on with that. They're very lucratively salaried. The elder statesmen, everybody loves them. Love to have them on a broadcast. Love to cast them. Do whatever the fuck they want to do. They made enough money to live very comfortably for the rest of their lives. No doubt about that. And quite possibly beyond. And it's just like, guys, Virtus.pro have got to have enough pride to say, there's fans of this brand. I know it's rare. People love players in esports rather than teams. But there's some people out there who love that brand and identify with that brand. And maybe they love Snacks more than Taz and Neo and all that. And maybe Snacks is going to be the figurehead in a new team. There's no forward movement. Nothing's going to happen. They've got to call time now. They've got to call it now. It's got to be over now. You're right. The legacy's done. If you go out now, you're going to get sympathy love. if you keep dragging it out and getting invited to tier 1 events you do not belong at,
I have got the analogy of all analogies for you, Richard.
Been saving it, have you? Go on.
Virtus Pro are BJ Penn.
Yes.
Because BJ Penn has, every time he has lost in the last 5 fucking years, what we all do is this. Well, shame to see him lose, but obviously this is the end for him. What a great legend. Let's remember him as he was, not as he is. Now, BJ, please gracefully exit the stage. I'll fight again. I could have won that. I'll fight again. Why are people counting me out? I'll fight again. What everyone did at this major was set everything up to make it the least embarrassing way to get banged the fuck out by bad teams and go out last place in a major. And with the massive softball that's served up, Taz, who as a competitor I love, manages to spin that. You know, when I said it years ago, no, it was at the beginning of 2017 when they were doing the trash talk with Kirby after the major, where I said what Taz does in a positive and a negative way is he sort of picks trash talk that's not that bad and turns it into trash talk to motivate himself and motivate his team. And he got outraged. It's like, no, I don't do that. How can you say that? Right. In this scenario, he's now taking this as though like we're the ones who are mad by thinking Virtus Pro's done and that we're somehow, you know, like in a conspiracy against them to imply they're a bad team now. And he's only going to prove us wrong for the 50th time in a row. Like, get the fucking memo.
It's over. I know. But, like, it's like I said, just, I don't understand why you would want to target. Like, I remember when Chuck Liddell kept trying to fight
There's
back.
A bad one as well, yeah.
Yeah, and they were all trying to stage interventions for him. And, like, Chuck, mate, you're fucked up now. The only thing you had was hands of fucking granite, right? And a jaw to match, right? And your jaw's gone. And you're flaky and fucked up whenever you're sticking up those big nostrils of yours in your spare time, and you can't do this no more, and you're a legend in the fucking sport, and we've even given you a job you probably don't deserve at UFC, which as far as I can tell just involves being drunk
and by the
24/7.
This is one of the worst things about that team. I'll give you an example of a team who've also generally underwhelmed, who did shit at this major, but who, as much as they get criticised for their PR, actually I know do make changes, and that's North. So North have made player changes. They've made fucking like 2 over the last couple of years. They make role swaps. They change up certain aspects of how they play maps. They do actually try stuff, right? So here's as bad as you can say their PR is, because obviously they're idiots by coming out every time they get banged out. This has just motivated me even more. I will now practice the right way because this is the best team for me, right? We all laugh at them. You know why? Because they're not CSGO royalty, so they don't get the fucking Emperor has no court scenario. But here's the maddest thing about Virtus Pro in this setting. Did you watch that interview that the owner of Virtus Pro, Neo, did?
Oh, yeah.
They did an interview which was going to be like, guys, we know things have gone wrong, so we're going to address everything.
Yeah,
all the owner did is just say, you know, we're going to do what needs to be done to lift trophies again. On comes Neo. Well, it's obviously gone really badly, but, you know, cheer for us and that, and hope it goes better. And I sat there just going like, why is someone hit publish on this? What is this? It's nothing. You've said nothing. You literally don't know there's a problem.
Yeah. It's the opposite, right? No, but I mean, at this point, well, you've got to see it for what it is. It's like we're going to send them to an event, right? They're going to get fucking blown the fuck out, and then we're going to just make some content around it and monetize it that way. And keep in mind, somehow ES Force was determined. Well, this isn't even real, is it? I mean, this is a whole other podcast. But you know, you saw ES Force sold to Mail.ru for 150 mil. Well, I mean,
not the name of a new service that KNG is trying to get me to sign up for to meet hot young Brazilian guys. Which mail for you?
Yeah, which no one will get that joke because it's been deleted off the fucking subreddit because 100 Thieves make sick merchandise and send it to Reddit mods, obviously.
But don't worry though, Rich. A thread about the viewing figures of ESL1 Genting, a Dota 2 only event, top of Reddit the whole day.
Yeah, why not?
It's almost like we're just mad conspiracy nerds who claim that we're being tormented by a shadowy group of mods who we're not allowed to even talk about, or that's a paddling. Because talking about paddling, that's a paddling. Like, I feel like I'm in that fucking episode, mate.
But like, so Mail.ru, right, is a big fucking distribution, you know, company and all that in Russia and handles a ton of stuff. And it's like, okay, so ES Force, originally called USM Holdings, right, owns, VP and all the other motherfuckers we've got in, who, as we've established, SK Gaming won't be there much longer, don't worry. But so USM Holdings, owned by Usmanov, changed its name to ES Force, buys up all this shit, Rue Hub, Epicenter, you name it. Then it sells to Mail.ru, and you're like, oh, okay, fair enough, because we don't have to worry about that no more. Who owns fucking 56% of Mail.ru? Usmanov. So Usmanov has sold a company he owns to a company he owns 56% of for 150 mil. Couldn't possibly be anything wrong here. Like, don't worry, guys, it's all covered. So anyway, I've said it. Like, it's just a content conspiracy now. They obviously don't care about the team and the team doing well. Any other organization in the world would make changes at this point. Any other team in the world would make changes at this point. But they're going to keep limping along, and they're going to keep getting invited to as many tournaments as they can realistically swing it. Which, by the way, WISA tournaments.
I'm not trying to start anything with ESL over this shit, because I actually feel for them in this scenario. Again, as I've mentioned, I know that they're in fucking deep shit and they have to do everything they can to get live viewers and get people to go to events, etc. Yeah. So you might have noticed I made a tweet where I actually tried to explain this premise, because they announced the Katowice invites. And guess what? Virtus.pro's on there. Now, logically, there is no competitive reason you can fucking dare invite Virtus.pro to that event. Invite. Not just say they can come through the qualifier, invite them. Now, the only reason to do it is because they're the home team and they will attract a lot of fans and it will guarantee you have a crowd. So I even said, I understand why they have done this, because in this scenario, it will do that. Rather than just be like, thank you. Carmack was like, actually, it's our policy to invite the home team. Brilliant. Sound.
Yeah, you can't.
Never give a fucking inch. Nah, never give an inch.
Never give an inch. Yeah. So anyway, so Virtus.pro, garbage, whatever. They're going to keep limping along. No one cares. It's fine. Just all part of the show.
By the way, I told you this, Rich. I'm so glad I invented that term, CSGO royalty, because if you want to see another example of CSGO royalty, Taz and Neo can literally be the worst fucking players in an entire server filled with rank amateurs who come from countries you've never heard of before. But if Bialy top frags and dares to fucking open My Little Pony Adventure Time game and someone sees him do it, he's the reason they lost the game. What madness is this?
Oh, yeah, I didn't even get into that. By the way, I just want to say...
That guy's one of the best players in that team.
Yeah, if you're one of the people who spammed Bialy's Steam account for playing PUBG...
Say kill yourself, etc.
Yeah, right. If you're one of those people, like, fuck you, you don't care about this game.
Maybe you're not a real fan of Virtus.pro, mate.
Yeah, we're definitely not that. You're not a fan of fucking esports. You should get over to the Dota 2 subreddit. You'll fit in with the cunts over there. Go fuck yourself, because you ain't about this business. A player had to make his own fucking...
about this life.
Nah, a player has to make his own Steam profile private, not because he wants to hide strats or practice hours
or because he thinks that he's going to get caught cheating next and he's copying all the skins over.
Yeah, of course.
Shout out to you, guy with a 1 in his name.
Narrows it down.
We all
good.
Remember you.
Everyone thinks you're talking about Simple.
Fancy one.
Yeah, they will. Shit, I've just realised that. Yeah, it's not Simple.
You've just fucked over your boy.
It's not Simple. Although apparently everyone thinks he's cheating as well, so maybe it is. Who knows?
Yeah, well, you got to watch the zigzags. You got to watch those shuffles and wazzle woozles in the crosshair movement. This was the concept.
Anyway, yeah.
Doing that video.
Keep going.
Yeah, let's move on. Right, so the other storyline that I thought was interesting when we were talking about disappointing teams, and then we're going to talk about the good ones. Obviously, North. Biggest shower of shit, I thought, at the major, actually.
Outrageous, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. I knew. I told everyone at the event, these guys are going 0-3. There's just no way. There's just
Do you want to know something? This will give me a very quick segue. So I've been hinting the last few weeks at certain teams that might be thinking about roster moves. And as far as I can tell, like is the way in esports now, because we have absolutely let the fucking lunatics run the asylum. It's not the orgs that are trying to plan these moves. It's the players doing fucking mutinies within teams. There are players who weren't just saying, you know, in the eventuality, which I hope doesn't happen, that my team does badly at the major and I had to leave the team and maybe other players leave, let's just secure my future. No, it wasn't like that. It wasn't reasonable. Before this major, there were massive name teams actively planning roster swaps before first game's been played. What kind of fucking loser are you that before the World Championship, you care so much about money and being on the best team a year from now that you are willing to literally trade up the World Championship now when you have a chance to win?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, there was something going on with North this event. I'm gonna tell you flat out there was something going on with North. And I understand they've already backed out of the next tournament they're invited to. Was it Epicenter? That's coming up.
No, Starladder.
Starladder, my bad.
Turned down. They're the way. They're both teams where I don't even know why the fuck they're getting invited. They've turned it down to go to that CS summit. That's almost a tacit admission that you are not a competitive team anymore.
Yeah. Which is fine, you know. I mean, at the end of the day,
if you admit that, yeah.
You know, I've heard that maybe something's going on with North. Everyone's been talking about Danish shuffles and this nonsense. I mean, I just want to, you know, touch on a few of the players that I thought, you know, it was wild. MSL was like one of their standout players this major. That's all you need to know. Config obviously is Config, fine. AZ was way better than I expected. The disappointments were definitely Cajun B, no doubt about that. I really was kind of wondering what the fuck was going on with him over the course of the tournament. There was a couple of games, in particular, the comeback that Astralis mounted against them, where it was like, it was something mad. It was like, what, they were fucking 12-4 up North, and they lost 16-14.
And by the way, that, as people pointed out at the time, and they were right, that isn't like, oh, fucking Astralis, what a legendary comeback. No, Astralis is shit as well, mate.
Yeah, as we saw over the course of the major. North completely fucking bottled it. Bottled it against Big. I mean, what is that? What is that? This is North. I mean, like, when you look at this team on paper, this is a top 10 team in the world on paper. Unfortunately, paper's not real, is it? It's just not real life.
That could be the name of this fucking episode, what we talked about for the first hour. Paper's not real.
Paper's not real. But, like, yeah, so I was really disappointed with Cajun B. I don't know what's going on with him lately. Massively inconsistent, statistically poor over the course of the tournament. But just ultimately, just like, when you have such a great in-game leader, I expect to see, like, really solid executes, really solid tactics, rotates, where everybody knows where everything is. None of that was happening. In fact, Yanko did a couple of segments when we were doing the getting technical bits, where he was like, you know, he was like looking at them and saying, like, look at the fucking state on this. Like, they've been pulled into a mad over-rotate based on one or two flashes and stuff. And it's like, why is that happening in a team with one of the best in-game leaders, like,
which trains in a football stadium, as we are told, on a fucking daily basis?
Yeah, you know, there's something wrong with North, and there was clearly something rotten with them coming into this tournament.
Obviously, jokes on them. Newcastle United's been training in a football stadium for about 20 years.
Yeah, I know. I can tell you that. Like, now the new order of North, Mike Ashley.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to sell Config, and I'm going to get that Ange. Why? You see a future in him? Nah, it's cheap, innit? I'm going to make money.
Just cheap. Never make a bloody profit if we keep hold of that Valde. You know, and so it's like I said, if I was North right now, right, I would look at what's working and what ain't. And clearly, despite having Config, despite having I mean, as I said, AZ's, there's cats going out there going, how many fucking lives have you got, AZ? It's so bonkers how AZ rides again, you know? It's so ridiculous. But, like, you know, Rubino, free agency. Dennis, free agency, although I did hear a rumour he's going to Mouse Sports, which is wild.
Oh, that's spicy.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Probably shouldn't say that, actually.
Another team who literally on the brink of their best ever run in the history of their fucking org. Yeah. Let's already plan our next move.
Yeah, did hear that rumour. I don't know.
By the way, stay confident, guys. Well, it's here's the thing. The implication, Rich, was it was either Mouse Sports or Optic.
Well, yeah. So, I guess. But whatever. I mean, like, you know, you think about guys, if you're North, right, and you've got fucking money to spend, why the fuck are you not out there picking up, like, Rubino was in this team.
It's weird how you never see those shitters on Twitter who are fake, like, news journalists with information. They never come up with these little leaks that we just drop these fucking jewels every week. It's weird how they never have that, Rich. They only sort of get... What's mad is, I know why those people started the rumour that it's other people taking information from, like, you know, other sources, because that's what they do. A thief thinks everyone steals.
Yeah, I know. So I don't know, man. I think North need to really have a look at their staff and how it's working out at the moment, because that is a team that should work. They definitely have got to replace KGB, in my opinion. I hate to say it. I've known Rene years.
The mad thing is, mate,
he's just not a consistent opener no more. He's not dropping bodies anymore.
That's also the sick thing. They've ruined that guy. If you make him a rifler, mate, he is a perfectly fine player still. But you have made you've done. Look over there, Device. He's open all the time in his team. Why don't you do that? I'm not a world-class AWPer. Well, just lose to every world-class AWPer then. No problem. Let's run this experiment 1,000,000 times and have the same result every fucking time. Meanwhile, we're one of the few teams who has a fucking academy team in which there's a player called Mertz who is an aggressive AWPer who is desperate to play at the top level. Yeah. Never bring him along. I wouldn't be surprised if there's such daft cunts to let him go to some other team.
Mate, I mean, at the end of the day, if Heroic are bringing fucking Peacemaker in, they've given up. May as well get some of those fucking players, mightn't you? You know what I mean? It's only going to be a matter of time before he goes, right, so, great to be here, Refresh. I want full autonomy over this team. Fire everybody. Yep, we can't do that, Lewis. I don't know if you've realised that. You keep doing this and going to teams and making this demand. It just doesn't work. Right, well, I am out then. Okay.
Wasn't he going in on you before his sneaky little deletion, as they always do?
Oh, of course he did. Yeah. Because all I said was on the broadcast, I said, and I just want to give a shout out to Zeus. There was some people who didn't want to play at the major and they didn't want to stand in, and because they were worried that they would embarrass themselves. And Zeus was also had that concern, and he's come up good and done really well for his team. That was it. That was all it took to tilt him off. I could be talking about anyone.
By the way, I hope this week has, for the 1,000,000th time, confirmed the persecution complex that Brazilian players have. Where me making a joke about something that factually happened, and I actually even know worse details about that I could drop right now and wreck these fuckers' careers. But I don't, because I actually care about them as people on some level. And since it's not my place to talk about it, I won't do that if I'm not pushed to the brink. So when I joke about that without even name checking any of them, I now have someone literally do a real homophobic insult against me, which can only be interpreted as a homophobic insult. But remember, they've never done anything wrong, and it's always just me persecuting them.
Oh yeah, I noticed that as well. I mean, at the end of the day, we'll see what is about that. Like, I'm not advocating for people being punished, but I mean, come on.
I don't. But these people just don't know any better, do they? They just keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And not in that very cool early 90s salt and pepper vibe.
I was going to bring salt and pepper up. Fucking hell. Right, back to North. So what do you think North are going to do, man? Because I think, like, the way they ended 2017, embarrassing themselves on Danish soil, the way they've fucking bombed out of this major, like, summons up, they've got Valde. They've got Config. Do you know what I mean? These are, like, world star fucking superstar players. They got to...
Same scenario, mate. Give me MSL Valde Config. Let me pick 2 players with the budget of Optic or Mouse, and I will make you a better team than North currently has.
Well, yeah, but who?
Well, first of all, as I said, they're not even attempting to get any of the young Danish talent. They're just literally letting them go elsewhere or locking them up in worthless academy teams. Here's another thing.
There's some guy, by the way, as well, mad spamming in chat, right? Valde has the poorest stats on North. That is a very recent fucking development.
Let me know what fucking role he plays, mate.
Yeah.
If you know anything about the game.
Yeah, so there's a reason we're not going in on Valde. It's not because we're scared that he'll peck us to death. Right, let's just fucking get back into this shit. Then
Valde will probably just be tweeting at us. Is it because you has just made love to your boyfriend?
Valde won't be doing that because he's fucking stable as a person.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
So anyway, there's a reason we're not going in on fucking Valde, you stupid cunt. Obviously, Valde is a fucking solid player. He was the missing part of the jigsaw not that long ago. Now MSL's turned into Jigsaw and is putting all the players in mad fucking booby traps. Want to play a game? Actually, I don't, because we fucking lose every time. So what players would you bring in?
Well, like I said, Mertz has got to be considered. Like, that's a guy where, what I at least like about that guy is, at least he's trying to be a proactive player. And the big problem with him is going to be lack of experience and confidence level, because his style of play, you have to have poise to do that if you're going to be an aggressive AWPer. So... Like, I would test him out. If I were them, I'd be in the fucking juggy lottery trying to get that guy to come across. There's another one I'd be trying to sign. I would maybe even consider, I know he's had his issues, but the Danish Nico, the one with a K, I'd also be looking at him. There's a bunch of moves. Also, remember, as I've implied, if there is a Danish shuffle, guess what? If there is a Danish shuffle, any player from Astralis is worth getting, any of them. What's great about them is that's a perfect example of players who might not even be that good in Astralis right now, but idiots who don't know the game don't realise that their system stops you from getting mad stats all the time. If you give me Dupree tomorrow, he'll be a top 10 player in the world.
Oh, look,
I'll have him as my star player tomorrow, mate.
Yeah, I think he's balling out of control anyway. He came into this LAN event, had to pick up the AWP device, was on rifle, just coming back from sickness. They said they hadn't prepared to the optimal degree they wanted. I thought Dupree was straight fire this event. I thought he played really well. I mean, as poor as Astralis were by their high standards, you definitely couldn't lay any of the blame at Dupree's doorstep. That just would be beyond unreasonable. Incidentally, then, since we've touched on Astralis, what the fuck went on there, do you think? Like, what happened there?
Right. Here's the thing. First of all, unfortunately, because they aren't Brazilian, we can never know just how ill Device is and whether or not that invalidated their results. Yeah. Sadly, they don't have that transparency filter of being Brazilian where we would know every little minor complaint that they have, such as if a fucking mosquito landed on them and like, oh, why is that? Did you populate the area with... anyway, I won't go into that whole thing. So basically, the short version for Astralis is, first of all, Devices looked terrible. So I think he is not 100%. I think he just was good enough to play. It's like that scenario, in football where it's like, oh, I want to play in the big game, in the playoff game. Yeah, but you're injured. I'll do what I can, coach. Well, you're not going to play your best, are you? It's probably going to be a miracle if you do well. Then you have to add in another factor that says to me there's problems in Astralis, and also they maybe are on the table for a roster move, is when you get Device back, why would you go, and by the way, Dupree's the full-time AWPer now, Device is a fucking rifle. Why would you do that? Why would you do that move? That tells me there's something going on in the team. Either internal drama, like, you know what, I should be the fucking AWPer, or we're gonna split up in a couple of events anyway, lads. Let's do something fucking wild at the end. We did the same thing for 20 events in a row. It was good, got us a lot of top fours. Let's try something wild at the end, right? That's what it seems to me.
It was just really, it was really crazy how poor the performances were from Astralis. Like, if you think about the 16-2 against Mousesports on day one, you might let that slide. It's day one. They had the light therapy out there. They were tired. Devices ill. They're coming back. Mousesports had already been there a week, right? They were looking good. They were settled in. So maybe you chalk that up to being a fucking anomaly and you ignore it. They were 12-4 down, as we established, against North. That is a legitimate choke. I don't like to use that term too much. So they came back, Astralis, and won that 16-14, which is crazy. But I don't even consider it a great comeback in a way. North should have easily closed that game out and just lost their fucking marbles. So Astralis get put against Fnatic. Fnatic comprehensively just did a number on Astralis. Like 16-8, I don't know if you think that's like close or whatever, but it just isn't. It was just all Fnatic. That was a game where I was like, holy shit, maybe Fnatic do something this major. And then Cloud9, it's 16-6 to Cloud9. Again, not even close. Cloud9 all day, just the better players. Kjaerbye was up and down over the course of it. Like, as I said, for me, like, it's crazy to think that Device was still top fragging in some of these games when he was clearly not right as well, by the way, which people won't give him credit for. I'm sure there's people out there like, Device shouldn't have come back. He shouldn't have come back. They should have used Sonic. I'm sure there's people who've written that bullshit, But, like, Astralis just looks really shit. Like, just really bad. Like I've never seen him this bad before.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, to me, when I saw them play, even though they said all that, like, here's what's bizarre about this tournament. This just shows again how personality is the filter that people use to decide if what you say is okay. If you are Taz, you can be sucking a million CS dicks and be so bad at the game. And if you say, count us out, we will come back, people will go, what a fucking great warrior spirit that guy's got. Meanwhile, if Glaive says stuff like, I think we could have even won the event if we'd have had our full team, everyone's like, fuck you a million ways to Sunday. He's the only one trying to even do some fucking team spirit. He was doing tweets during this event. We've got to learn from tomorrow. If we're going to win the tournament, we've got to come back. Everyone like, ha, fucking loser. You are losing the game. It's mad how the double standards people apply in this fucking scene, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like I say, I think it's just waves, like some people are popular and therefore they get to do certain things and say certain things and people will just ride with it. And if you're not part of that like new wave of popularity or whatever, you just get hauled over the coals, Na'Vi, got to talk about them as well. We're talking about teams doing well out of nowhere. It was really bizarre. They were up and down in the first week. Again, didn't really know what to make of them. Had that game, well, just a terrible veto. We're going to play fucking Gambit on you. I don't know why anyone in the right minds would do that, especially if you were Na'Vi, to be honest. But they got completely demolished on that. Then they had that really good comeback against Big, but that was just awful from Big. They get drawn against Liquid. Liquid are using their stand-in. So none of these are really what you would call like top-tier tests. But the Fnatic game was legit. They beat Fnatic legitimately, comprehensively. And actually now when we start talking about really good Inferno teams, of which I still think it's all up in the air, it should be FaZe that are dominating that map. Hasn't really happened that way. They've had some up and down performances.
They've fallen off a little bit on that, actually, bizarrely.
But Na'Vi on Inferno are mustard now. They are legit. If you're going in to play Na'Vi, the first thing you have to do is ban Inferno. I think there's a very compelling argument to say right now at this major, at this event, they're the best Inferno team we've got.
Well, especially because like everyone plays Inferno. So as I've described in the recent months, like here's what's bizarre about Na'Vi. You remember I actually picked them as one of my like dark horse picks to win the tournament. We had to pick the crazy dark horse. I picked Cloud9 and Na'Vi with my two teams. And here's the thing, when he said like, oh, come on, Na'Vi's not going to do it. I know why you say that, because they have constantly disappointed with the names on paper, never matching up in the game. But they play Inferno and Mirage. These are the maps you need to become an upset team who could go all the way to the final. If you have these maps, no one is banning these motherfucking maps against you. Even G2 doesn't ban in Mirage anymore. No one bans them. So you can play these maps all day long if you are good at them.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just that as well, though. Finally, Simple's getting the support he needs. Like, I still think Edward's got to go.
had some pretty good stats this tournament, mate.
Yeah.
He was back.
Even Edward against Fnatic.
Yeah, he had that game he carried, didn't he?
Yeah, which is upsetting for me. I still think he's ready for the Knackers yard. But who knows? Keep in mind, at Majors, Edward's gone off in the past. So maybe he does it again and he makes me look like a fool. I'll take it on the chin if that's the case. But Flamey, I came straight from a storyboarding meeting, like looking at all the storylines and stuff we're going to do for the live show in Boston. We were looking at statistics of some of the players. Flamey's one of the statistically top players. Yep. Like, it's wild as fuck. He's finally come back and actually is doing something. Now, Electronic has been nowhere, interestingly enough. Like, just been a very average, mediocre player, statistically speaking. It's Flamey finally that's like raised his game, and him and Simple are really fucking, unbelievable stats at this event. Oscar as well's up there, Guardian's up there. It's crazy. And suddenly, Na'Vi, I think, are in with a chance of, with this QB fire draw, which we'll come to at the end of the show. They're suddenly in with a chance of...
They've got the best round of 8 draw.
Yeah, and this is what I think. It does remind me a little bit of like that NIP run in Cologne, when NIP finally won the major, that we saw they were carrying deadweight and people who weren't playing well, no disrespect to Robin, but he was done not that long after that. He did go to a couple of other tournaments, but that was pretty much his swan song in the minds of most people. And I think he knew then he was going to bow out, even if he did go to like an ESWC or whatever afterwards. But NIP played terrible. They got gifted by the introduction of Cobblestone in a very unpolished form just before the major. They were able to use that to their advantage because they had some amazing players. And it worked out for them. Everything went their way in Cologne. And I'm just starting to look at Na'Vi and how they're growing in the tournament and starting to think about how Na'Vi should have had probably 2 majors. And by the way, that they missed out on.
This is another example. Just as we always blame randomizer and all that shit for that Cologne run, here's proof that the format is still flawed in the major. Na'Vi might make top 4 at a major after beating Big, Team Liquid with a coach, Fnatic, who's decent, and then QB Fire the best of 3, and that's top 4 to major.
Oh, I know.
Just meaningless, isn't it?
Yeah, I think moving forward, I think we are gonna. Yeah, I think everyone's going to take a look at the format, but I don't mind it so much.
No, but here's the thing, Rich. For the entire period of the new Challengers stage, the former qualifier, I had to constantly take it up the arse because since it was CIS teams
don't tell KNG that, mate.
Since it was CIS teams succeeding from the bullshit non-reseeded draw, suddenly I'm just crying about the format because the favourite team lost. Oh, I've had scenarios. When people say what is one of the most objectively provable lies, which is there's no big deal doing pick ban analysis. Everyone knows all the pick bans. By the way, to put together a pick ban, unless you run some sort of active database that can spit out a number from a formula, that's like half an hour per team. Because the way I do it is, I not only look up all the recent bans and all the recent picks, I then calculate which do they ban first, which do they ban second. I then read all the interviews, try and figure out, is there some clue to what they're doing here? I then look at their opponents and figure out if their opponent does X, would they do Y? And by the way, there could be like 5 different permutations on what you can do there. Then at the end, I have to come up with my best theory, which I then present on the broadcast. And as I've told you before, there are legendary players who do not know their own team's pick ban and say stuff like, we'll probably play them on Mirage, but you won't know they're going to ban that. All right, well, Nuke? Yeah, but your team doesn't play that. Oh, I'll just leave it to the in-game leader. And then I've had in-game leaders who tell me, what do you think that the other team will pick? And I give them the breakdown, maybe do this and that. Nah, I looked up the stats myself. They've got a winning record on the map. Yeah, but you have to understand, 2 of those wins were against a team that doesn't play the map. The other third one was a team that had just changed a player. And they go, oh, right, yeah, good point. Thanks for that. Same fans online. You don't know anything about the game. Brilliant sound. It's mentally ill, isn't it?
Right. So back to Na'Vi. Can they win the major?
I would say of the teams that are in the playoffs, so the 8 teams in the playoffs, I would give them the 4th best chance of winning the major.
Okay, 4th best.
I'm putting them behind FaZe, SK, and G2. And part of why I'm putting them there isn't just Na'Vi as a team, but I also think the bracket draw, they after FaZe are the main team who benefit from this bracket draw. Because think about it logically. They've got the most easy first round opponent. And then odds are you're playing either FaZe or, well, you're not playing FaZe or Mouse definitely, but odds are FaZe, right? Mm-hmm. Well, if you ever wanted to play a world-class team in a semi of a major, how about playing a team that play massively off individual skill and play all the same maps that you do? I tell you what I don't want to do is play against SK Gaming who are going to fucking rip me apart with their experience and constantly exploit any player who's fucking up on my team. Instead, I'd rather go against FaZe who are going to go, well, we're 2 sluggers, let's get in the phone booth and start banging away and see who wins. Again, KNG, pause.
So, I want to ask you about QB Fire. Because I know you've took a lot of shit on Twitter. And, like, here's the thing. I've been saying it to... I've asked players, how are QB Fire doing this? And the players are going, well, we don't know, because they're not doing anything amazing.
Yes. Here's the difference, okay?
It's just working,
This is what's great about why making it into regions... Like, what's mad is we've now got fucking, like, identity politics in fucking Counter-Strike regions. That's how mad it's gotten, Rich. So now every single team that's a CIS team, their value is judged on the best CIS team. This is madness. This doesn't make sense. So what's great is, in a rush to crown Quantum Bellator Fire as a really good team, people have downplayed the fuck out of Vega Squadron's accomplishment and the fact that Vega Squadron was actually a better team over the entire Challenger and Legends phase than Quantum Bellator was. Because Quantum Bellator Fire won games where you watch the game, you go back and watch the VOD, and they aren't doing anything. They're stood with the crosshair on a corner, someone runs in and the guy dies in the crosshair. They're not making a clever read, a push, having a unique strategy, having an off-kilter style like Vega Squadron has, relying on a clever map veto. They're not doing any of that shit. Now, they did win against legit teams in this portion, but they did so by the slimmest margins I have ever seen in the history of a Counter-Strike major.
The comeback against Mouse Sports legit, though, right?
That was good. Listen, but that's an example of where you have to be very careful with your language. That comeback was a comeback where, in the context of that map, they were their better team. Although Mousesports definitely helped them with some fucking epic throws. But are they a better team than Mouse? Not for any other day in their entire lives.
No, I'd agree.
Meanwhile,
with that.
Vega Squadron was actually a legit team and lost to very good teams and fucking were in the tournament the whole time, had a style of play, did some things that made sense, had players who were fragging out. No one on Quantum Bellator Fire is fragging out. Even the players who were doing the best are having stats that would be like the worst stats on a top team. Well, and they have players, most of them, who are getting like MSL type stats, and they're in the round of 8.
As I alluded to earlier in the podcast, and I said we'd get there, we're looking at the stats. We're like, fucking hell. They've got some of the lowest individual stats at the event in the top 8. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
I can't remember who it was, but there was
don't get me wrong, there's 4 of the Virtus Pro boys, like right down there, and then it's like Zeus and God B.
There was a team a while ago, I forget who it was, who won a playoff series with all their players going negative in kill death differential. Because obviously, that meant that they got utterly banged out on the map they lost, and then they narrowly won the other 2 maps. I forget who it was. That's like what Quantum Bellafire has done in this tournament. They have essentially won rounds where they must just be losing all their players and barely getting enough kills to win. And they must also be winning loads of rounds on clutches without killing most players, because they're getting appalling stats while winning 3 out of 4 games and going to the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure out of all of the teams that were in, I think QB Fire are probably thinking, fuck it, we're glad it's Na'Vi.
Mate, they literally even did interviews where they were like, I don't know how we have done this. It is
I know that, yeah.
Mental, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yet we're supposed to believe that every fan in the CIS region knew that they'd be really good. Why? Because Vega Squadron, because Gambit, because a major, because we as CIS is.
So here's what I will say. Like, I'm definitely super happy for them. I'm super happy for them in the contact, and I'm super happy that we've got another genuine upset team. Here's the thing: in the minds of the average fan, you'd want these 100 Thieves guys there. I'm sure. Like, if I said to them, 100 Thieves or QB Fire,
which remember they're not supposed to be here. They were the 9th team.
Yeah, and I'll just say, well, fuck that. All day long, fuck that. There's elements of this major that have all just been plunged into insanity because of the whole 100 Thieves saga from start to rotten finish. So fuck that noise. I'd much rather that the accolades and the opportunity and the money was going to like hard-working amateurs that have somehow fluked their way into the big time, and an organisation that was founded by one of the original people who come up with the Virtus Pro brand 13 years ago. So it has some esports tenure and has some esports experience behind it. I hope they can use this run and the fact they'll be at the next major. I hope they can use that to get some money into the organisation, get some sponsorships, and hard-working amateurs actually get something they deserve out of the game rather than a bunch of fucking spoiled brats. So people who were saying, I'd rather this team was there with the major, rather Virtus Pro had inched the way through or whatever, like, fuck that noise. Mad respect to these guys. I agree, it's not even like a miracle run. You can see how everything's aligned for them to get there, but who gives a fuck? That's one of the flaws in the current format, right? Like that these kind of things are possible, and this is one of the best outcomes of that flaw.
Why is it to downplay Quantum Bellator Fire to give real context to what they did?
Yeah. I don't think it is.
In the context of their expectations, they have overperformed. Congrats. Well done.
Massively. The stories around the team are amazing. Like that one of their players...
like I always make this analogy, right? If you ever take the way CS fans think about our game and apply it to real sports, they just look like clown shoes. Like these would be real opinions CS fans would hold before history finished playing out. Buster Douglas was a clearly superior boxer to Mike Tyson.
I know.
Eli Manning, he is much better than Tom Brady. He has a winning record in head-to-head in Super Bowls. Just means nothing, does it?
But at the end of the day, like they've said themselves, like, we don't know what the fuck's going on. Like I said, there was that storyline where one of the players had to just keep walking to a fucking LAN centre down the road for 2 weeks because the internet where he lived was out. So they haven't even prepared particularly well. It is just a crazy story. I think it's one of the biggest upsets that we're going to see in major history, and I'm really glad that something like that's come out of it.
By the way, everyone who wants to go on and on about the CIS region, the best player on this team was a guy called Kvik, who's from Lithuania, not in the CIS.
Yeah, true. Absolutely. Cloud9, final talking point, and then we'll do predictions for the next matchups. They got off to a pretty rough start, although losing to G2, who are definitely my low-key pick to nick it now. I saw MBK tweeting saying he thinks they can win the whole major. He's definitely right. They've been near immaculate. Shox is finally back. Everything looking really good there. And it does make you wonder, doesn't it? All of a sudden, the French shuffle, if G2 go and win this major, well, they're not going to be any G2 players in that French shuffle.
One problem for you.
What?
So G2's won 6 maps. They've gone 3-0, 3-0.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen who they played?
Yeah.
They won 1 map that was meaningful.
Which was?
Cloud9.
Yeah.
They played against Envious, who had RBK ill, Sprout, Mouse. Oh no, they won Mouse Spots as well. No, I'm reading the Cloud9. No, I'm wrong. G2 in the Challenger stage played Flash Gaming, Misfits, Vega. Right, 0 top teams. Then we go to the next one. They played Cloud9, good. Team Liquid with a coach and Quantum Bellifier. They've rinsed shit teams sound. I agree. They are a team that have always had the potential. Maybe they have got it together. Maybe they will do it against top teams. They're on that side of the bracket where if they make the final, they almost have to be the team that could win the major because they're on the tougher side of the bracket. But I also don't feel like they've coasted through in this.
Vegas Squadron that's a good win. That's a legit win. It was an overtime win as well.
That's all right, mate. But Vegas Squadron wasn't some favourite to win the tournament, was it?
Well, no, but I mean, people were fucking like, oh, what? It was really weird, actually, before we did the draw, because it was G2's last game. They were already 2-0. Like you say, they beat Flash. Flash played pretty well in that game, all things considered. They manhandled Misfits, no problem. Then before we went to do the draw, Nathan was shouting over at me like, I hope it's Vegas Squadron, make it Vegas Squadron. You know what I mean? Because I think I'd predicted Misfits to fucking beat G2. I don't know why. I fucking must have been high that day or something, you know what I mean? But that was the prediction I went with. So when Vegas Squadron come out and it was such a close game, pretty epic back and forth.
Oh, I think they're capable of winning the major. I just don't like yes, they are the hottest team at the major, but I just think that they've had a fairly weak context of who they've played.
Yeah, well, all right, but I don't know. I saw MBK tweeting about how he feels that he's got a sneaking suspicion it reminded him of the last time he won a major.
One thing I will say is this: if G2 can show up, doesn't even have to be in this form. If they can just show up in sort of like 80% of this form, they are one of the things, and this is why I've been so infuriated by them the last 8 months. They have the best map pool in Counter-Strike. Mm-hmm. So really? If they pivot that, like, which maps can't they play? They ban Train, they can play every other map. Think about it. Every other map.
Yeah.
Their problem is, they're one of those teams where, here's what's bizarre, right, Rich? Normally, when you have an amazing map pool, like SK Gaming has an amazing map pool, but in part because they're such a good team. So what happens is they win even on the maps they're not that good on. Now, G2 has an amazing map pool, but because they can lose on any map as well, because somehow they're not as consistent a team, it makes it look like the map pool isn't as good. They have an amazing map pool.
Well, so, look, we were talking about Cloud9 off this, so we'll leave the G2 stuff. So Cloud9... obviously up against G2. I mean, I think they've been a bit unlucky with the way it's all kind of fucking worked out for them, honestly, because they've already had to play G2 prior to this, lost that. Then they had a really dodgy game against Space Soldiers. Nerves just got to them. They weren't performing. But the way Cloud9 had to battle back to fucking actually get to this stage, they had some really good performances. You know, they beat Virtus Pro, beat Astralis, beat Vegas Squadron, but I mean, these are all comprehensive victories that they dished out, right? So to come back and sort of do that reverse sweep to get here is a hell of an achievement, in my opinion. And I still stand by comments I've said in this podcast before we got into the whole wager over who's going to do better up until the major with Team Liquid, that I think this is the best NA team in terms of talent and skill ceiling that I think has been assembled.
Oh, by the way,
history.
Skadoodle, as usual, is leveled right the fuck off. His stats have gone way back down, as you'd expect. Here's the problem. I know I picked Cloud9 as an outside chance to win. Unfortunately, with this bracket draw, I think they have no chance to win. I mean, that's hyperbole. Obviously, everyone has a chance to win. Like maybe Quantum Bellator Fire has a 0.05 chance. But this way, Cloud9's chance to win is probably like 5%. Because I feel like the side of the bracket they're on is terrible. Like, first of all, G2 is, I think, already going to murk them. Then, not least because the map pool's really bad. And then you go and play, if you have to play SK Gaming, God forbid you have to play that match. Because here's the problem with Cloud9. 4 of the Cloud9 members in this lineup have never played in the playoffs of a major. The only one who has is Tariq, who played in one when they got beaten by Team Liquid.
Yeah, that's the CLG team. Yeah.
Remember, Skadoodle's never made it out of groups.
Has now.
G2K and Automatic hadn't even actually made it to majors till the last one. And then who's left? Rush obviously came with Optic and just got beaten in groups a bunch of times. So the problem with that is, I always say this, when you've got one player who hasn't been in a major playoffs, like for example, Fnatic has Golden. So I'm worried about that. In-game leader's never been in a major playoffs. Pressure hitting him. He's playing versus one of the best teams in the world. I'd go ahead and bet he will go for the choke side of the equation. You have 4 out of 5 players who've never been in this spot before. That's a bad look, mate. I don't feel like you're going to see the normal Cloud9. I'm sorry. It's not going to be the hopeful run that I think people think it is. I think they're going to do badly.
Well, let's segue into the predictions. I think we talked enough about the storylines and performances, and we did have a mad rant at the start, which is worth its own show, in my opinion. But FaZe versus Mouse Sports, it's got to be FaZe for me, just for obvious reasons, because I think I've got FaZe winning the whole thing.
Yes, but here's the interesting thing. It's very likely that that's going to be a 3-map series because, as everyone knows, FaZe famously bans Cobblestone. But actually, Mouse Sports, given the chance, will definitely pick Nuke. So either they let them pick Nuke, in which case I would still favour Mouse to win that map, or Karrigan does the old map veto switcheroo and he changes his ban to Nuke, which means Mouse Sports can now pick Cobble, which admittedly they don't play a ton of, but I'd be very interested to see FaZe have to play Cobble again. It wasn't good the last time they tried it. So odds are Mouse can get the map. And then here's the key thing. Very likely the deciding map will be something like Mirage that both teams like. So yes, FaZe is amazing on Mirage. They should still win the series, but at least the map veto sets it up that actually Mouse has a shot. So with their fraggers, they got a puncher's chance. I still think FaZe will win 2-1.
Yeah, and I'm inclined to agree. I think we saw, in terms of stylistic matchup and map pool, I think we saw just exactly how these two teams can complement each other in terms of the end product of a great game of Counter-Strike. We saw that in ECS. One of the best of 3 finals in 2017, if not the best.
Throw in the same factor again for Mouse Sports. How many of these players have been in the playoffs of a major?
Yeah, and it was really interesting as well. Like Chris J did the interview out at the major and said, because he played terrible in that last game, and he was like, just thanks to my team for carrying me. Like it was on my mind. I was starting to choke and bottle it a little bit, and we got through. But I think it's a full reset for Mouse Sports out here, and if they want to start proving that they're gonna, go on to the next stage, this is how you do it. Sure, FaZe started to get clinical towards the end of the best of ones, but Mouse Sports have proven they can go toe to toe with FaZe. There's a world where if a few things go differently in Cancun, Mouse Sports 2-0 FaZe. It could have logistically happened, and I think Oscar's been one of the top level performers at the major overall. He's on another planet right now. He's a weird motherfucker. Make no fucking mistake about it. He is a strange dude, but he is playing Counter-Strike like almost nobody else in the game right now, outside of the usual suspects.
Oh, even in terms of style, mate, he has a totally unique style.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's unreal. He's like Old Dirty Bastard in fucking Wu-Tang. You can't call it rapping, but it's something and you want to listen to it. That's pretty much Oscar, isn't it, when he plays? Like, he's just wild as fuck, and he's performing and getting it done. Been the best player on Mouse Sports by a long distance. And, if Rops shows up and grows into that, and we all saw how disappointed Rops was out in Mexico, he's going to want revenge. I don't know, man. I agree.
There'll be a lot of pressure on him, though.
Oh, absolutely. But I think this is going to be straight fire. I think this is going to be one of the series that we're going to have in the stadium. I think this is going to be rock'em sock'em, like close all the way. And yeah, I got FaZe 2-1 as well for that. Na'Vi versus QB Fire, obviously best will in the world.
Literally, Na'Vi could tell Quantum Bellator Fire, you pick the maps, mate, and it would still be a 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's got to be at this stage. Like, a lot of people have been going, you keep sleeping on QB, you've slept on QB. Look, miracle runs end. Like, what QB Fire has achieved, there'll be nothing like this.
This is mad, isn't it? Yeah, like, here's the thing.
It's so crazy.
If you were in a scenario where you had some inexplicable mathematical scenario happen that shouldn't happen, like, some mad roll of a dice, the same number comes up 3 times in a row, CSGO fans would go, bet on that fucking number next. But no, look, it's 3 times. Are you a fool?
So the thing is, I've been out with some of these people too when we've gone to casinos and stuff at after parties, and they've gone, it's been black 5 times in a row. It cannot be black this time. Please, you cannot. This isn't how it works.
Listen, if I ever decided to drop dime on motherfuckers who are considered fucking super cerebral players and maybe talent, who have attempted to gamble thinking that with no understanding of the rules, they could just pick up gambling as they went with thousands on the line and then got reamed out, and then we're like, how could it happen? It's like, are you like an 8-year-old kid or something? What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, so I think like you said, the miracle run ends, and while I think QB Fire won't disgrace themselves, I think at the end of the day, Na'Vi are going to be loving this. I saw Simple put a fucking tweet out. He may as well have done a fucking your beak face at the end of it, because he was going, there are no easy teams in the middle. Fuck off, Simple. Fuck off.
I come close to saying that each time, but here's the thing: as I said to him,
want to trade then?
Did you see my reply? I just said that's certainly one way to build a positive image.
Yeah. No. I get it. I get what he's trying to do. He's trying to be a nice guy, and we're all CIS bros together and all that. I totally get it. But at the end of the day, you wouldn't want to swap this draw for anyone. Everybody's looking over going, fucking Na'Vi, the lucky bastard.
That is literally the maddest round of 8 draw that anyone's ever gotten. Because remember, Na'Vi themselves weren't like a top 3 favourite or anything. What's mad is, it's not even like Na'Vi 3-0'd. Na'Vi went 3-1, and this is what's mad. Quantum Bellator went 3-1, right? Normally, if you're the 3-1 team who gets the other 3-1 team, which is what happened with Astralis and SK last time, you're supposed to go, fucking hell, what are the odds of that? I'm so unlucky. You had to get unlucky to get lucky. That's how fucked up this draw is.
Yeah, no. You're going to give me fucking, right. The pneumonia is going to come back. But yeah, it was just crazy, and to say stuff like that, everyone wants QB Fire. I got this 2-0. I'm with you. I think even if QB Fire said we'll pick all the map, shall we? And Na'Vi went, yeah, I think it's still 2-0. I just can't see a world where Na'Vi aren't going to actually relish this and think they've been given a gift, and everyone's turning up right now, and they've been building in confidence. Yeah, it's going to be a smashing. I think. I'd see 2 16-8s. Not big levels of smashing, but smashing. G2 and Cloud9. This is where we're going to diversify our portfolios here, Dunk.
You're going with Cloud9, aren't you?
I'm going to go with Cloud9.
Your trend, mate.
Yeah, no. And I'm telling you why I'm going to go with Cloud9. I'm going to give it a rationale. I agree with you on the map pools, but I'll tell you what, right? I've wrecked that Valens on this podcast before, because he just sort of lurks behind him with his fucking hands in his pockets, doesn't he? He belongs in a fucking Britpop band in the 90s. He's just there. He doesn't seem to do much. He's not like a leader of men, is he? He's not going to give him a speech or anything. But one thing that motherfucker does is he gives Tarek all he needs from demos and stuff. And having played G2 and had that luxury, Cash could definitely be an interesting equation if it comes up again. I think they'll be very well prepared. And I think just in terms of where Cloud9 were towards the end, where they were straight smashing heads, they had that run where they didn't give their opponent double figures in any of the last 3 maps that they played there, and they were not bad opponents. You're talking about Virtus Pro, okay, we understand they've got problems. They're still a dangerous opponent, especially in the context of where it was tournament life on the line. The more experienced team should be able to draw on something. They didn't. They made Astralis look very ordinary. So, yeah, I feel like Cloud9 actually could do the upset here. Either way, it's definitely going to go to 3 maps. But I'm going to back my boys on this one. I think there's going to be something off. It'll be close. I think Cloud9 will edge it. Don't rule out the crowd factor. I know it's one of the intangibles, and hardcore analysts don't like to talk about it. But playing in front of a home crowd that's like giving you that fucking energy and giving you a pump up and a boost every time that you play, I could see Cloud9 doing G2 here. It'll be close, though.
Right, here's the thing. Because we've seen these two teams play many times before, they always draw each other. They always play in fucking series. They always play, and it's always a straight fire game. This will obviously be the best playoff series of the first round. It's the one that has all the marquee aspects written for it. Problem is, while yes, Cloud9 has a good stylistic chance because they have a puncher's chance, like G2 and them are just going to brawl basically on all the maps. They're going to do all the mad force buys and the deagle kills and the pistol rounds, and people are going to just win clutches and they're going to push through randomly, and it's going to be all the shit that you love to see if you love to watch these teams play. That gives you a chance, which is why I'll say Cloud9 gets a map somehow. I'm not sure how, but I think they do. Problem is, Cloud9 is not in a great scenario with map pool, like I say, because Cloud9 bans Nuke, and you have to ban Nuke against G2 anyway. They're so good on it, so they'll just stick with that. They're not going to take that away when they're in the round of 8 for the first time ever in the playoffs. So that means that you have G2 with the option to pick something like Inferno, which Cloud9 is ropey as all fuck on, and they are really dodgy on that. Meanwhile, G2's wicked. Then here's the problem. The normal permaban of G2 is Train. The two best maps of Cloud9 are Train and Mirage.
Yeah, sure. Train.
So now that Train's out, Cloud9 probably has to pick Mirage. Well, as anyone who's watched G2 in the last 6 months knows, they've switched to playing Mirage, and bizarrely, they're like inexplicably good on the map. So I still think Cloud9 probably should be a favourite on that map, but G2 could definitely win it. Then you go into a third map. The third map, probably going to be somewhat like Cobblestone, Cache, as you just mentioned. These could be very real possibilities because I think Cloud9 is going to ban Overpass.
Yeah, I think Cache definitely comes out again, honestly.
Which, again, I'm going to favour G2 on. So I think this will be a great series. I think it could be back and forth, but I'm going to take G2 to win this one 2-1. Potential for 2-0, but I'll say 2-1 to be reasonable.
Okay. And then the final one, hang on, sorry, I just hit the wrong button there, I just need to go back, is, of course, SK Gaming versus Fnatic. Now, obviously, SK Gaming have got the standing factor with Phelps. You know, they haven't...
should have mentioned that.
Right, look, SK Gaming versus Fnatic. This is a really interesting one in a best-of-3 matchup because obviously SK Gaming have that stand-in factor going on. Fallen has said that they didn't practice a lot and they've been doing a lot of practice on the fly, that they've really relished having the opportunity, I think he said, at the press conference today. Having a bit more time. Having a bit more time to practice, I was going to say, okay. and sort of, you know, get some things ready because, you know, they still want to win the major. And Fnatic, obviously, you know, I wouldn't say they looked amazing, like sort of coming into this, but this is like the best version of Fnatic we've seen in a good while. They've had some bum notes, but at the end of the day, like they've got a really good core. The positives for me have been that Fnatic seem to have expanded their map pool a little bit of late. You know, they're getting competitive on Inferno. I was very surprised at how comprehensively Na'Vi beat them on that map. I still think Fnatic are a good Inferno team. And on top of that, you've got Crims is really coming back into his element and has looked very, very good and close to the Crims of old. So I do feel a bit sorry for SK Gaming, the way the scheduling has gone, that SK will have to play 2 best-of-3s, because I think this will be a very grueling best-of-3 for SK Gaming. I can see Fnatic nicking a map in this one, purely because of the Phelps factor, but I still got SK Gaming taking it 2-1.
Yeah, the problem with this series for me is I actually agree. What gives the Fnatic team a shout, in my opinion, is the fact that if we are to believe them, SK hasn't practiced much. Not only that, they apparently are willfully ruining this tournament by playing Phelps in positions that he cannot play, that someone else plays, on the basis that somehow that makes it better for when you then bring that player in. Don't know how that makes any sense. If we've learned anything from what Astralis did with their stand-ins, it makes sense to actually change up for the one event and have the chance at the one event to do something different. I mean, it's just bizarre to me that you'd essentially... What's mad is it's like that they do that thing where they create their own problems, then complain about the fact that they created the problem. Like, wow, but look, we're having to use a player in a spot that he doesn't play. Change him up then. I don't want to. Why are you complaining then? So the big problem for SK is Fnatic is a really solid team. Now, they're not world beaters. Reasonably, they're not going to have the best players in the server. Like, it's probably unlikely Crims continues the stellar form he's in so far. They don't have the same insane firepower because you can't necessarily know if Flush is going to turn up. And as I said, Golden is an inexperienced in-game leader in the round of 8 of a major versus probably the best in-game leader right now in the fucking world. So it's certainly going to be tough for Fnatic, but I feel like they've got the solid level of play where, yeah, they're in with a shout to win a map. Part of their problem, though, unfortunately, is that they also, like SK Gaming, ban Nuke. So depending on who goes first in the ban, from knowing these teams, these are the sorts of teams who are deathly afraid of discomfort. And so if I were them, I wouldn't ban it no matter if I'm first or second, because I would say, you know what, SK, if you want to pick Nuke against me, have at it, sir. But I don't think you will do it. But I know these teams, and I just suspect someone like Fnatic might just go ahead and fucking ban Nuke anyway. But if they don't ban Nuke, then at least they have a chance to ban something like Overpass. Because if they leave Overpass in, they are murked. Their big problem as well is the maps they probably want to play, Mirage, Cobblestone. These are maps SK Gaming loves. So I feel like being solid's good. It'll get you in there. You'll probably get double-digit rounds against them. You probably got a shot if Crims wins some clutches, etc. And plus, you never know what factor maybe SK does shit the bed because they have this different lineup. But I would still say SK should win this one. I think they've got enough factors edged towards them.
All right, then. That's that. We've got one quick question from one of our $100 contributors, and then we can close down the podcast. So Detlef Insomniac asks, I don't have a CS question, so I want to ask you a general question. What's your favourite drink? I can answer Thorin. Obviously, it's G Fuel. He loves the delicious, energizing, reinvigorating taste, full of electrolytes, probably. Which are good after the gym, your muscles are aching, all that BJJ that you're into. I did say BJJ.
Actually, doesn't have any electrolytes in, to be honest.
All right, okay, just made that up, didn't I? I'm not getting a sponsorship neither.
I'm not either, so don't worry about it.
Sound. So, what is your favourite drink?
In fact, I can just say it's got anything in it. It's got fucking toxic waste in it.
Well, no, you're not getting it, is it? You're never getting a sponsorship anyway, now, you fucking daft cunt. What are you doing that for?
Let me think. What is my favourite drink?
Time's down that, Sam. For his own good.
Let me think. What would I say is my favourite drink? See, the problem is, about a year ago, I stopped drinking sodas. Like, I don't drink sodas with sugar in. I used to be a fiend for soda. So I used to love Iron Brew. That was one of my favourites. One of my all-time favourites, Iron Brew. Love that. Love Welsh's grape soda. Because I am that hood motherfucker. I'm that dude. Anyway, listen, I make that purple drink and I lean, motherfucker. I lean.
Right. For me, dude.
More casual at events than fucking Bialy on Steam.
After we gave that impassioned speech defending him as well, dude.
It's metal, isn't it? Just go right back. And like an absolute rat, use him to score points.
Yeah, I know. It's such a cunt.
Well, here's the thing. Since I have to pick a drink now, what I'll do is I'll just pick an alcoholic because I just drink water nowadays, mate. So what I'll say is, one of my favourite drinks is an amaretto sour. It
is a classic cocktail. I mean, I still smash it in margaritas, me. They've just burnt a fucking hole in my stomach lining. That's never coming back. I mean, the doctor's like, yeah, if you look, it's not even that you have to stop drinking alcohol, but there's certain types of liquor that will absolutely fuck your ulcer sideways. I'll just have this one that's made entirely of limes and tequila, please. Like, absolutely kills me. But I love the bastards. I can't quit them. I can't quit you, margarita. So there you go. Hope that answered your question. Hope you don't regret asking.
By the way, if anyone out there wants to order, because I'm sure online nowadays you can buy these sorts of things. Buy some Iron Brew and get it. Because here's what you need to do. I've been drinking Iron Brew my entire obviously not 34 years. They didn't give me it when I was a fucking 1-year-old. That'd be pretty irresponsible, wouldn't it? There you go. Anyway, no, obviously not. I was drinking G Fuel when I was a kid. No. But obviously, since I was about a kid onwards, I've been drinking Iron Brew. So my entire life, I like it. I still don't know what the fuck the flavour is.
No, you can't explain it to anybody. It's like Tizer. You try explain that to somebody.
Doesn't make any sense, does it?
Yeah. Well, what's Tizer? Oh, it's red. Oh, so it's cherry, is it? Nah, strawberry, is it? Yeah, like it just tastes of red. Like
Iron Brew does taste of orange, like.
Yeah, no, Iron Brew, but it doesn't taste of orange.
No, like not oranges. It's not the fruit. It tastes like
exactly.
it looks. Though I don't know how to describe it.
Tough, mate. It's tough. Right, anyway, enough of that. Also, by the way, if you all want to head on over to the Dota 2 subreddit, you'll find that there is a thread called Dear CSGO Personality.
This must be good. Let's see what this is like.
It was made 2 hours ago by Sucker Bliacht, but it's meant to be Yacht. He's trying to be funny there, probably. And apparently, because we are just casuals in the Dota scene, we are not allowed to talk about things that will have seismic ramifications for the entirety of esports.
You know what I love about Dota 2 people as well, Rich?
What's that?
People, here's the mad thing. You would think if you give the game away to people, you've given the game away. They now know the strategy to defeat you, right? The strategy to defeat me has always been very easy. Stop talking about me. Don't reference me. Then I can only live off the value of my work, which, by the way, I would still succeed. So I guess you're shit out of luck, which is why, in a mad way, they're in a catch-22 scenario, because then they'd have to just be silent and let my work stand for itself and it'd obviously succeed. So the only way they can talk shit about me and create a bad image is to talk shit about me. Problem is, by talking shit about me, you make me significantly more relevant than I ever was. I barely do Dota content. I might have done 5 Dota pieces in the last 2 years. I must have had 20 threads. I must have had thousands of comments. By the way, everyone's going to think I'm exaggerating there, right? Thousands.
No.
Every thread with me is 300 comments, and that's in Dota 2. I don't even go on the Dota 2 subreddit. I think I've posted there twice ever, like 5 years ago. I don't even read the subreddit. What happens is, occasionally I would read it where someone would be like, oh, there's a thread about you. I'd have a quick look there at the top ones. All you need to know is the top comments would be the ones like, fuck him to death. I'd be like, well, I don't think I need to scroll down this page. I'm out.
Right. Do you want to know as well, like, the funny part is, like, just how shit the counter argument is?
Come on.
So, like, it says here, since you guys are mostly casuals in the Dota scene, I'd like to give you guys a little background.
Pretty sure I was watching Dota before this guy.
Yeah, right. Post-international, Valve created the Major-Minor system. Oh, really? I've definitely never commented about that, and a sudden excess in Dota 2 content was available. Given the excess, top Dota 2 casters decided not to cast qualifiers for meager sums of money, hence it all went to newer talent. The community was disappointed and impatient with the new talent and often migrated to more well-known streams such as Bulldog or Grand Grant when they decided on a whim to cast these games. Now, here is the relevant part. I mean, that's not even an accurate interpretation of history, what you just said, but whatever. Now, here is the relevant part. Tournament organizers complained, citing lost viewership, and then Valve released its memo. The community, understanding the background events, knew that the Valve memo was intentionally vague and not heavy-handed, since most people read it is still allowing personalities like Bulldog and Grand Grant to continue.
I'm going to go ahead and guess that when he gets to the end of this post, he never mentions that if they're in any way monetized, that it's absolutely within the rules to remove them, which is why they were removed.
Yeah, which also people ignored that line in the blog where it said, Valve, I'll paraphrase it here. They said, we want people to play nice, but we do not think they should be running a competing stream.
Which is so vague, any lawyer, as you saw, will open that wide open.
Yeah, and it said a competing stream that is commercialized. That's the key thing. A sub is commercialization. A sponsor while you're streaming that content is commercialization. Running an ad
promoting
on Twitch
putting it
while you
Reddit.
Take a piss.
Remember, the whole point of this is that if I'm a new caster, I could put it for free and just have whoever happens to watch. That's it. If I do anything other than that, I'm now fucking with the rules.
Yeah,
I agree. It's heavy-handed.
Yeah,
that is the rules.
By the way,
write the rules.
I did tweet out saying ESL have handled it so stupidly.
Of course they have.
Yeah, to issue DMCAs and go against people like Bulldog, who, by the way, they fucking work with, and have had him at ESL events. What an absolute shit show that is. And there's no way you should be leveraging Twitch or the DMCA system to have people's content removed. What you should be doing is taking this on the chin and trying to get a clearer outline from Valve or someone else as to what happens here. Anyway, even though I said that, obviously, I'm still a cunt. Fast forward to now, the community understanding background obviously went to the defence of Bulldog and company. Valve had an opportunity to directly plan the action to someone like Bulldog and decided not to. I get the reasons why you want Facebook to succeed as competition. Twitch deserves competition. I mean, you clearly don't. Yeah, you definitely don't. We're not even just talking about that, even though that point is true. It's better for the growth survival of the esports industry in general, yes. And Twitch can be toxic and racist as fuck.
Not even a factor.
Spamming Anelli, Tryhards, and Munker.
Like, yeah, you do realise, to me, the ideal scenario would be that this, in a minor way, succeeds, and Twitch ends up just paying the money after all. You all get it on Twitch as you wanted, but they now just pay, and therefore we have more money in esports.
So I don't even know why he's brought that to the table. Signs of mental illness there, I'll be honest. Also, the stream is free, so no complaining, right? But remember, when a product is free, maybe the consumer is the actual product. And many consumers decided not to be a product for Facebook. Interesting take. Facebook as a brand is so toxic. We in the community each have our reasons why we hate Facebook, but I assume you guys, as normal human beings, know these reasons. Yes, nobody is saying you shouldn't boycott the Facebook stream. Nobody said that either. What you shouldn't do is attack talent, attack ESL, encourage rival streams that deliberately skirt the wording of Valve and saying, we will only watch those streams.
I've got a little nugget coming for you in a minute. Just finish up this rant. I've got a nugget. And when I say this, I'll drop this like the Rosetta Stone that'll explain everything to you.
Is it relevant to that point? Do you want to do it now?
No, I'll just tell you very quickly, just so you know the context of who you're talking about, whose words these are coming from. I went on his Reddit account and I scrolled down on his posts. He posts in r/anarchism positively about a video of the philosophy of Antifa.
All right, GG then. What a...
That's like if you were reading and you were in a fictional world.
Sure is racist, that frog.
And then you go and click on his profile, scroll down. Why that fucking bad guy in RoboCop was the hero?
What?
Bitches leave.
I agree with him on that front.
No, he didn't really do that. I'm saying that's the equivalent though. Like, no one can take that position ironically, can they?
What are you talking about? I modelled my life on Clarence Boddicker. I don't even need these glasses. Anyway, whatever the reasons, I still try and watch the stream on Facebook. Good. I do want to support the organisers and I like their product. Good. I just hope they weren't as heavy-handed and played nice.
It's weird, you just said the product was him.
Yeah, right. You're the product, by the way, motherfucker. And played, that's what you say, and played nice, but I do appreciate what yourself has done for the community. So here's the thing. We're agreed. I'm saying all you have to do is not attack the talent, maybe think about supporting the stream, because I think that's a good idea for the long-term growth of esports, and in particular Dota, which if y'all keep behaving the way you behave, and ESL probably never run another Dota tournament again, and who the fuck could blame them, right?
By the way, don't you just love this as well?
We never talked about the other streams getting pulled. Duncan doesn't support that. I don't support that. So I'll just read you the last line. And he goes, I hope my little background was enlightening. Maybe cross-check with the Dota 2 personalities if I'm mistaken. And I'll gladly correct it. I just wish you knew the proper background. You guys don't speak up. We do. We did. You're correcting us for things that we actually agree.
Question for you, Rich.
Fucking moron. And then lastly, Thorin, fuck off.
So, right, first of all, I address this very quickly. So remember, special thanks to Thorin for calling this community dog shit. Next sentence, more power to you, asshole. Last sentence, lastly, Thorin, fuck off. So I've nailed it, basically, right? Yeah? You couldn't even go one post. You couldn't hide it for one post. You had to literally be toxic by your own measure. Secondly, you killed yourself with that last paragraph, bro. Because remember that, like, maybe cross-check with Dota 2 personalities. Oh, okay, cool. Except remember, you've already used a conspiracy theory to rule out any opinion of all the Dota 2 personalities. So if you notice, we're divided into two groups. Half said nothing, half implied that they agree that Facebook should be allowed and that this is a good thing. So so you go and check with the Dota 2 personalities. What's that? Not a single one agrees with you? Yeah, that's because they're all sellout shills, even though the ones who haven't been hired for the fucking event and are even rival events to fucking Facebook.
It's beyond a joke. But anyway, I hope he gets better.
By the way, speaking of which, I should have mentioned this earlier, but there was actually a small thread, and I just didn't retweet it because I didn't know if this would get the guy into trouble, where basically event organizers were actually just mentioning that they don't make money from sales of events. And that Panda from Starladder said that they were only able to get enough fans even into their stadium if they made the price $1 per day. If they don't make it $1 per day, they can't even fill the stadium, and that they lose money on the event.
But remember, mate, we're all just rolling in it, mate. We're all rolling in it. We're all having a wash with that fucking dirty green. Mad, innit? Fuck them. Right, let's read the titles and let's blow this popsicle stand. Thanks very much to all the patrons that make this show possible, because, of course, obviously, without you, it wouldn't be possible, because there's no money coming into esports unless basically you want to sell an organisation to a venture capitalist group. So thanks to the $100 patrons: Matthias Pietkowski, Chris N. Wynn, Jerky's Minion, and Detlef Insomniac. Our $50 patrons: Funky Boy, Sard Sawar, Patrim Thorinson, COWO, Carl Oscar Garcia Firm, Humongous Watt, Daniel Plamanov Yordunov, Naz Stradamus, Marcus Kiyumpar, Keith Miller, Benny Cargi Assassin, and William Southern. That was By the Numbers. I'm off to get ready for rehearsals tomorrow. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thanks to Duncan and Sam for doing the show. And we'll see you at the Major in Boston. Oh, yeah, here's what shilling looks like. Tickets still available. Go to eleague.com/major to get yours while they're still available. Use the promo code FuckDota2 subreddit. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Anyway, fuck this podcast. I'm out later.